Chapter 1123. Challenging the celestial girl. Shui Baiyao was waiting for Lin Feng. Lin Ruotian and Meng Ba glanced at each other. They were surprised. Shui Baiyao was looking at Lin Feng. "I've been waiting for you for a long time now," said Shui Baiyao coldly. Lin Ruotian and Meng Ba glanced at each other again. They were right. Surprisingly, she was waiting for Lin Feng. Many people came out of the lofty palace, including some very arrogant young geniuses. "Celestial Snow Girl, I admit that I had wandering hands, but it wasn't on purpose. Why can't you forget about it already?" said Lin Feng, smiling wryly. Wandering hands? Lin Feng had touched the snow celestial girl in an indecent way? Lin Ruotian and Meng Ba suddenly seemed interested and were staring at Lin Feng now. Did he have sex with her? What did wandering hands mean exactly? "You?" Shui Baiyao looked at him coldly. She was furious. Why did he say that in front of everyone? However, Shui Baiyao could control herself and calmed down quickly. She just looked annoyed. She wanted to get her revenge. "Lin Feng, you shameless bastard. You dared touch her. You tarnished her reputation. Lin Feng, you're a piece of trash. You injured her, kidnapped her, disappeared with her for a while. What exactly did you do to her?" "You're a disgusting bastard. We need to kill him." The young men were talking to each other using telepathy. What had Lin Feng done to the girl in her room? Why had he disappeared with her for a while? Did he rape her? Everybody was looking at Lin Feng with the highest levels of hatred. "Let's kill him together, that piece of trash." "Right, let's kill him," shouted everybody furiously. Shui Baiyao was considered as holy in the celestial land of alchemists. Maybe Lin Feng had raped her to mix his blood with hers? What a disgusting bastard. "Lin Feng, what did you do to her?" "Lin Feng, did you?" said Lin Ruotian and Meng Ba to Lin Feng using telepathy. Lin Feng was speechless. Shui Baiyao remained silent and released her godly awareness. She wanted to see who was talking. Some people wanted to protect her, to prove that they were worth it. Some people thought she had slept with Lin Feng because of what he had said. What a bastard. Lin Feng slowly walked forwards and said coldly, "A bunch of rats, if you want to fight, come out and fight. It was only a misunderstanding. Because the strong cultivators of the Celestial Palace chased me, I had to kidnap her to leave safely. I let her go safe and sound after that. Then all those dogs who hoped to marry her someday attacked me. So, that's what had happened." Lin Feng's way of talking proved that he was honest. However, they all hoped he hadn't slept with her. Shui Baiyao's facial expressions suddenly looked better. But still, she had to kill him. "But alright, I did touch a little bit of your skin, so what? No need to kill me for that," added Lin Feng. Shui Baiyao's face turned red. A little bit of her skin? Couldn't he shut up? He was doing that on purpose. "Besides, you're the celestial and holy girl of the celestial land of alchemists. Even though I injured you a little and interrupted you when you were about to break through to the 8th Tianqi layer, I'm just a little cultivator of the 5th Tianqi layer, so," continued Lin Feng. He was flattering her to make her look bad. "I will use the strength of the 5th Tianqi layer and kill you," said Shui Baiyao coldly. "Sister, he's just trying to protect himself," said one of the young men. Lin Feng was saying sweet words, so she didn't attack him. He had killed their fellow disciple of the 7th Tianqi layer. If Shui Baiyao only used the strength of the 5th Tianqi layer, he would destroy her. "The celestial girl from the celestial land of alchemists is extremely strong. I admire her," said Lin Feng with a resplendent smile. "I'm not scared of him. The same cultivation level as him, I can defeat him. Do you guys doubt me?" said Shui Baiyao indifferently, glancing at the young men from the celestial land of alchemists. They remained silent. Did they doubt their holy woman? She had completely recovered, at the same cultivation level as Lin Feng. She wasn't scared to fight him. "Same level, I'll kill you," said Shui Baiyao calmly, looking at Lin Feng. Her clothes were slightly fluttering in the evening breeze. Her facial expression was as cold as the moon. "I trust you, you are very strong. I already have some pills in case I die." "What if I win though?" asked Lin Feng, smiling. "You won't have any chance." "What if though?" said Lin Feng, smiling in a resplendent way. "What do you want?" asked Shui Baiyao. "Dying would be a tragedy, But if I win, let's forget about everything that's happened before and be friends, alright? Said Lin Feng. He had killed people from the celestial land of alchemists, but he didn't hate Shui Bai Yao. Besides, she had a high social status and he didn't want to become an enemy of the celestial land of alchemists. Alright, said Shui Bai Yao. Only one word. If she lost, she would stop trying to kill Lin Feng. Something else, said Lin Feng. The crowd was surprised. That bastard had many requirements. I'm listening, said Shui Bai Yao. I want to say something, I want to make a bet, but I don't want other people to hear. Can I come closer and whisper it to you? What did he want to do? The young men were grinding their teeth. Get closer to the celestial girl? Make a bet. Shui Bai Yao was curious but said coldly, come closer. Lin Feng smiled and got closer to Shui Bai Yao. There was a few centimeters between them now, so the young men around her were furious. Shameless bastard. What do you want to tell me? Asked Shui Bai Yao. I have a very powerful high-quality holy weapon. If I am unlucky and you do kill me, I am willing to give it to you, said Lin Feng using telepathy. Shui Bai Yao blinked and looked at Lin Feng. Why would Lin Feng be so nice? Why would he give her an amazing treasure if she killed him? What do you mean exactly? Asked Shui Bai Yao using telepathy. If I win, I need a holy pill, explained Lin Feng. First, he had made her agree to fight him at the same cultivation level, then he told her he had something for her if he lost. And now if he won, he wanted a pill from the celestial land of alchemists. What pill? Asked Shui Bai Yao. My friend is an incredible beast and she has a noble's blood. She has a very, very high social status. During her transformation process, she used all her strength and was severely injured by other people, so she returned to her animal state. I want her to turn back into a normal human being again, explained Lin Feng. He seemed nervous. He hoped Shui Bai Yao had that kind of pill. Obtaining something from the celestial land of alchemists was difficult, so Shui Bai Yao was his only hope. That battle was a large gamble. Shui Bai Yao stared back at Lin Feng. He had been smiling the whole time, but now he looked nervous. Now, she understood what Lin Feng's motivation really was. Chapter 1124, Chiao Yu Xian's double personality. Chiao Yu Xian finished killing those people, turned around and glanced at Lin Feng, but she looked expressionless as before, as if she didn't know him. Slash. An arrow moved towards Chiao Yu Xian, but not fast enough. Chiao Yu Xian grabbed the arrow and broke it with her bare hands. By Chiao Luo? The crowd wondered. Chiao Yu Xian's silhouette flickered as she left. Lin Feng followed closely behind her. They quickly approached a tavern. Taverns in Tiansu town couldn't be compared to taverns in Yangzhou city, for they were bigger. There were powerful deployment spells prepared for experts. There were small pavilions filled with thick and rich abstruse energies. All of that had a price though. People had to be rich to get in. Chiao Yu Xian chose a simple yet clean room as she walked in the courtyard. Lin Feng continued to follow her calmly. Chiao Yu Xian turned around and glared at Lin Feng. Why do you keep following me? Why do you want to kill Bai Chiao Luo? Asked Lin Feng, ignoring her question. He tried to kill me, now I'm trying to kill him. What does that have to do with you? I thought you couldn't explain it, said Lin Feng, smiling indifferently. Even though you practice mercilessness cultivation and you say you don't want to have emotions, you haven't given them up. You killed 68 disciples from Tianlong Divine Castle, and now you chased Bai Chiao Luo from western Ba Huang all the way to central Ba Huang. You did all those things because of me, am I right? You're thinking too much. All of this has nothing to do with you. You say that, but you can't even look me in the eyes, said Lin Feng, ignoring her mercilessness energies. Chiao Yu Xian turned around and walked towards her room. Lin Feng followed her and entered her room. Chiao Yu Xian turned around and said coldly, if you continue following me, I will kill you. Kill me then, said Lin Feng calmly. He continued walking towards her. Her mercilessness was becoming even more intense. Stop. Lin Feng ignored her. I will kill you for real, said Chiao Yu Xian, raising her hands as a cold moon appeared. Don't hesitate then, said Lin Feng with a resplendent smile. Slash. Chiao Yu Xian's moon descended towards Lin Feng's arm, but he didn't release any qi, he just continued walking towards her. Qiu Yuxin was startled as she recalled her moon, but it was too late. It broke apart and cut Lin Feng's arm in several places. Gaping wounds appeared, but Lin Feng ignored them and arrived in front of Qiu Yuxin. "You can't," said Lin Feng, smiling. He got even closer to Qiu Yuxin and he was still smiling. She shouted furiously, "Go away." "Tell me what happened," said Lin Feng. He was convinced that something had happened to Qiu Yuxin since he last saw her. She wasn't a merciless person, so why was she practicing merciless cultivation? Lin Feng stretched his hands and put them around her waist. Qiu Yuxin shivered. She looked at Lin Feng and shouted, "You better remove your hands." "Seal." A terrifying strength invaded Qiu Yuxin's body and sealed her pure qi. Qiu Yuxin shuddered as she looked at Lin Feng. She looked like she was going to cry as she shouted, "Take your hands off me." However, her strength was sealed. Lin Feng hugged her and pushed her on the bed. "Lin Feng, stop," begged Qiu Yuxin. Surprisingly, Lin Feng had pushed her onto the bed, and now he was on her, oppressing her. She looked confused, she even blushed. "You have no emotion, so you don't care, right?" said Lin Feng, lying on top of her. "Let go of me, please," begged Qiu Yuxin. Lin Feng pulled up her robe and her flawless skin appeared. He put his hands on her thighs and stared into her eyes. "If you don't tell me what's going on, I will make love to you with so much passion. Then we'll see how you are afterwards," said Lin Feng aggressively. He didn't look calm like before. Qiu Yuxin looked perturbed, her face was deathly pale, but she also looked aroused. If Lin Feng made love to her, would she stop practicing mercilessness cultivation? She would then belong to Lin Feng forever. But how could she tell him? There was someone else inside her. "See." Lin Feng pulled down her robe, now he could see her breasts entirely. His heart started pounding furiously, like a beast. Boom! Mercilessness energies burst from Qiu Yuxin's body and surrounded Lin Feng. His blood instantly felt like it was going to freeze. Qiu Yuxin looked at him, she looked like a stranger. Dangerous! Lin Feng rolled aside as the bed broke into 1,000 pieces. Qiu Yuxin stood up and threw herself at Lin Feng. "Don't you want me to kill you?" said Qiu Yuxin in a cold way. She was slightly smiling though. She looked both menacing and sexy at the same time. Qiu Yuxin's qi changed again. Now she looked like a peerless cultivator, emotionless, merciless, evil. "Who are you?" asked Lin Feng suddenly. It was Qiu Yuxin, but had someone cast a body capture spell on her? "Go back to your wife," said Qiu Yuxin, lowering her head. She sounded hurt and solitary. What was wrong with Qiu Yuxin? "Lin Feng, tell me, do you want me to become your sex slave?" said Qiu Yuxin, raising her head and looking at Lin Feng in a helpless way. She slowly walked towards him. She stretched her hand and caressed Lin Feng's chest, however, it made him feel ice cold. "If he dies, I'll kill myself," shouted Qiu Yuxin suddenly. Then, her hand stopped moving again. "You're not Yuxin," said Lin Feng. "How come? How could there be two Qiu Yuxins?" Chapter 1124-2, Soon Getting Nature Pills? According to what you've just told me, your friend needs nature pills. Those kind of pills contains the energies of the earth and sky to revive someone's vitality. They can heal people's skin, bones, viscera, everything. That pill has to be at least a high-level holy pill. Even I can't obtain such pills. Why would you bet that? Asked Shui Bai Yao slowly. Nature pills contain the energies of the earth and the sky. They could heal people and even improve their abilities. They were extremely precious. Apart from the emperor of the celestial land of alchemists, only a few old alchemists could concoct such pills. Making him concoct pills wouldn't be easy. Nature pills. Lin Feng frowned. He hadn't thought it'd be so difficult to obtain those pills. However, Lin Feng dreamt of getting them one day. And in that case, he really needed them for Meng Qing. "Please, can we have more privacy?" asked Lin Feng. Shui Bai Yao understood. She released some seeds which instantly sprouted. Then, vines appeared and surrounded them. Then petals appeared. In a few seconds, they were alone in a closed white lotus. "What are they doing?" The crowd was astonished when they saw that. Lin Feng and Shui Baiyao were using telepathy to talk. And now Shui Baiyao had created a gigantic white lotus to prevent people from looking at them. Some people felt envious and even jealous. In the white lotus, Lin Feng wanted to release his godly awareness, but she prevented him from doing so. She wasn't injured anymore, so she was extremely strong. Besides, she had a celestial body. Even at the same level as Lin Feng, she was infinitely stronger than Shen Yuan. The celestial land of alchemists had also taught her many spells, skills, and techniques. However, he didn't have a choice, he needed those nature pills. Lin Feng released demonic strength and qi. It was as if a devil had tried to tarnish a holy being's soul. He then took out a black sword which contained demonic qi. Shui Baiyao looked surprised. That kind of demonic qi could swallow her whole. Come back. Lin Feng recalled his demon sword. That sword is terrifying, but I have the celestial body spirit. That sword is good for people who practice demonic cultivation, but for us it's useless. It wouldn't be enough to ask the elders to concoct pills for you, said Shui Baiyao honestly. Lin Feng didn't say anything. He took out his Tianji sword. That's a middle-level holy weapon. Lin Feng took out his bow, his halberd, a black shield, a terrifying purple blade. Shui Baiyao was surprised and fixedly staring at Lin Feng. Lin Feng was wondering what she was thinking. They're all broken, said Shui Baiyao. Lin Feng had been lucky, he had probably found some historical vestiges. Indeed. They're all ancient weapons. Those weapons aren't useful to me, maybe the celestial land of alchemists can use them. Maybe the elders of the celestial land of alchemists can fix them? These are incredible weapons, said Lin Feng, trying to convince at Shui Baiyao. What do you think? Aren't you afraid that I could simply steal them from you? Asked Shui Baiyao. She was looking at Lin Feng in a strange way. Lin Feng had asked her to create the white lotus so that nobody could see all his precious weapons. I trust you, holy girl, said Lin Feng, smiling in a resplendent way. Besides, I am convinced you can defeat me, and if you defeat me, you'll be able to take them all. You want to save someone, that person must be extremely important to you, said Shui Baiyao, smiling indifferently. Lin Feng wanted to put his life at stake to save someone else. It wasn't only about the battle. Even if he won, wouldn't she tell everyone about his treasures? Even if he won, he could be in danger forever because of those treasures. Lin Feng smiled and said, if that's enough, I hope you can ask the elders of the celestial land of alchemists to concoct nature pills for me first. What you mean is that you want me to have the pills with me before we fight? Indeed. I trust you. Those pills were extremely precious. If Shui Baiyao didn't have them with her, even if Lin Feng won, maybe the elders of the celestial land of alchemists wouldn't concoct them for him. Why would they? You're so confident, said Shui Baiyao, trying to examine Lin Feng. If you have them, we can fight. I have all my treasures with me at all times. You have only seen a tiny part of my belongings. If I die, you'll be able to take everything. Lin Feng didn't directly reply to her question. Only a tiny part? She was curious. How come he was so rich? All right, I promise you, but those pills need time to be concocted. Therefore, we might have to wait and fight for 10 days or more. When I have them, we'll fight, promixed Shui Baiyao. Lin Feng smiled in a resplendent way. He wasn't angry or nervous, he was just smiling happily. When Shui Baiyao saw Lin Feng's smile, she was surprised. Who could guess that he was ready to put his life at stake for those pills? Who was that beast he wanted to save? I'll wait for you, said Lin Feng, still smiling. Then, the white lotus slowly opened itself. Shui Baiyao and Lin Feng could be seen by the crowd again. Shui Baiyao left and Lin Feng left too. The crowd was curious to know what happened in there. Why had she let him off? Lin Ruotian and Meng Ba wanted to say something, but Lin Feng said nothing, so they didn't ask anything. One day later, Shui Baiyao and the elders came to know that Shui Baiyao needed nature pills. Some people had even heard about that. Nature pills were incredible and needed energies from the earth and sky. The elders of the celestial land of alchemists agreed. Some people learnt that it was because Lin Feng and Shui Baiyao had made a bet. Shui Bai Yao had put nature pills at stake and Lin Feng had offered some precious treasures. Many people in Sword City were talking about it. A disciple from Tiantai who had broken through to the 5th Tianqi layer had many precious treasures, needed nature pills, and had made a bet with Shui Bai Yao. Lin Feng quickly became famous from that gossip. Some people also learned that he had ranked first at Emperor Yu and Emperor Shi's recruitment process. Everybody was talking about Lin Feng in Sword City. Why did a cultivator of the 5th Tianqi layer need nature pills? The event in Fortune City hadn't started yet, so there were many people remaining in Sword City. If Shui Bai Yao hadn't protected Lin Feng, many people would have attacked him already. Shui Bai Yao didn't want Lin Feng to die before their battle. However, many people had a strange feeling. Outside of the inn he was staying at in Sword City, many people were spying on Lin Feng. He could sense it. He knew that Shui Bai Yao hadn't talked about those things, so only those who were with her from the celestial land of alchemists could have talked about it. Even if he won against Shui Bai Yao and obtained the nature pills, people would chase him and try to kill him for those pills. But for nature pills, for Meng Qing, Lin Feng had no choice. He could only obtain nature pills from Shui Bai Yao. Chapter 1125. Secret and mysterious influential group. Lin Feng was staying in a palace. At that moment, he was sitting cross-legged with his Tian Xian stone in hand. He had also released his celestial book spirit. At the same time, inside his celestial book spirit, there was a gigantic sun and a gigantic moon. It was an entire small world with dazzling golden lotuses which contained the 10,000 things of creation. Even though Lin Feng was sitting in the outside world, he could sense everything with his spirit. It was as if he were sitting on the main road practicing cultivation. He could clearly sense everything that was happening around him. Lin Feng was omniscient like the sun and the moon when he communicated and fused together with the earth and sky. He loved being in that meditative state. He released incredible sword energies. In his awareness, it was as if the earth and sky had become swords in response. That world was calm and peaceful, so if that sword moved, the earth and sky would surely collapse. The 10,000 things of creation are alive. Emperor Wu Tianjian used a myriad of swords and buried them in his grave. They all had their own souls and they were alive. Lin Feng was studying this. That day, in the grave, he had for the first time sensed sword vitality, especially that one sword which was deeply buried. All the swords respected that sword. It was their king. Lin Feng was studying sword cultivation. He didn't consider swords as objects anymore. He now considered each thread of sword qi as a living being. Lin Feng now considered swords in general as living beings. Lin Feng was in a mysterious meditative state. Once again, he was visualizing what had happened in the grave. Lin Feng had never really understood the world of swords. He had never learnt a powerful sword skill even. He didn't even understand any abstruse energies. How could he improve? Lin Feng had already broken through to the 5th Tianqi layer. He had to break through to the 8th Tianqi layer and then he would ask Mu Chen and the others for help. After the Tianqi layer, he would become a Zun cultivator. How could he achieve that? Lin Feng felt lost. He only knew that Zun cultivators could control abstruse energies and that the stronger Zun cultivators became, the better they could control abstruse energies. For example, Ho Qing Lin could control reincarnation abstruse energies and make things grow older. There were many forms of abstruse energies. Lin Feng could already control 3 forms of intent. Were they going to become abstruse energies? If he wanted to learn other forms of intent, and later abstruse energies, what did he have to do? Lin Feng had thought about those things before. Now, he was going to Fortune City. If everything went well there, he'd become stronger and maybe he'd get some hints to progressing. His plan was to go to Fortune City, then wait for Meng Qing to completely recover. Then he'd isolate himself again to break through to the Zun Qi layer. Terrifying sword Qi started emitting buzzing sounds. He condensed that Qi to create swords. Lin Feng was starting to understand how to control swords a little better. His sword intent slowly started to change. Boom! Loud sounds were heard and Lin Feng started shaking. The room where Lin Feng was staying started crackling. Someone is attacking Lin Feng. It doesn't look good, someone wants to steal Lin Feng's treasures. Suddenly, some people rushed to Lin Feng's room. Those people didn't want to kill Lin Feng though, otherwise their attacks would have reached him. "Stop," said someone coldly. Some old people suddenly appeared and released energies which surrounded Lin Feng. Nobody could get close to him. The celestial land of alchemists. They're protecting Lin Feng. The crowd was incredulous. People from the celestial land of alchemists were protecting Lin Feng. Why? But nobody found that surprising actually. Shui Bai Yao and Lin Feng were going to fight, so the members of the celestial land of alchemists already considered Lin Feng's life in their hands, as well as his precious treasures. They couldn't let anyone else steal his treasures before that. Tian Tai wouldn't be able to say anything if Shui Bai Yao killed Lin Feng because Lin Feng had challenged her himself. Who are those people? They're all Zun cultivators, thought the crowd. All those strong cultivators were releasing dazzling energies. The members of the celestial land of alchemists didn't have the advantage it seemed. You better leave. The celestial girl from the celestial land of alchemists and Lin Feng are going to fight soon. Nothing can happen until then. Lin Feng cannot be attacked, otherwise, people will think that the celestial land of alchemists did it, said someone extremely loudly. Their voice rolled in waves in the air. Lin Feng was their prey, so many people had plotted against them. If Lin Feng wins, I don't think the celestial land of alchemists will let him live, said a person in black clothes. What was going on? A moment before, that person in black clothes wanted to capture Lin Feng, but now they were getting angry, saying that the celestial land of alchemists was going to kill him. Even the members of the celestial land of alchemists didn't understand. That fight has nothing to do with you. Whether Lin Feng will die or not, we don't know, his life is in Baguio's hands, replied the members of the celestial land of alchemists. We'll wait until the battle then, however, no matter what, Shui Bai Yao can't kill Lin Feng. Otherwise, not a single member from the celestial land of alchemists will leave Sword City, said the person in black clothes coldly. Then he and his group disappeared. The crowd was surprised. The members from the celestial land of alchemists wouldn't leave the city if they killed Lin Feng? How insolent! Shouted the strong cultivator from the celestial land of alchemists. They were furious. Who were those people who were threatening them? Who are those people? Why do they want to capture Lin Feng? Why should Shui Bai Yao spare Lin Feng's life? Everybody was confused. Those people seemed extremely strong, otherwise, they wouldn't have threatened the members from the celestial land of alchemists. Even though the members from the celestial land of alchemists were furious, they controlled themselves. They couldn't do much anyways. Lin Feng was still sitting cross-legged in the palace. Sword Qi was rotating around him as Nanei swords made of Qi appeared around him. From the outside world, people couldn't see the swords, but they could sense the sword intent. Level 8 sword intent. The crowd was surprised. Lin Feng was monstrously strong. The palace was even cracking. Long Teng, Gu Shao and the other members from Tianlong Divine Castle were together. Gu Shao seemed furious. He's not weak, we need to kill him as soon as possible, said someone. Gu Shao glanced at him and that person immediately shut up. Intent doesn't mean anything. I can still kill him with just one hand. Long Teng knew that there were tensions between Tianlong Divine Castle and Lin Feng. Of course, if you fight him, you'll crush him. Even if he becomes stronger, you'll always be able to destroy him, said someone else. Unfortunately, the celestial land of alchemists doesn't allow us to attack him now, otherwise, I'd kill him now, said Gu Shao with murder in his eyes. He wanted to kill Lin Feng more than anyone else. Chapter 11:26. Long Teng's aggressivity. Long Teng looked at Gu Shao and said calmly, "You'll have the opportunity to kill him sooner or later, but for now, you can still humiliate him." Now, Gu Shao frowned and whispered, "What about the cultivators from the celestial land of alchemists?" "You don't need to kill him, you'll just humiliate him," repeated Long Teng, walking towards the place where Lin Feng was practicing cultivation. Gu Zhao's eyes twinkled and he smiled coldly. He followed Long Teng. Lin Feng's sword intent had leveled up, so he couldn't let him continue being that lucky. "Lin Feng!" shouted Gu Shao. His voice rolled in waves. He wanted to disturb Lin Feng while he was practicing cultivation. Qi dashed to the skies. Long Teng looked at the palace and said, "Don't worry, we won't harm him." Then they recalled their qi. Gu Shao started laughing frantically. He slowly walked in the direction of the palace where Lin Feng was. Many people noticed him and thought he was cruel. He was disturbing Lin Feng while he was practicing cultivation. "Lin Feng, last time, you escaped and didn't die. You killed my brothers so you won't live for long," said Gu Shao, grinding his teeth, hoping Lin Feng would hear him. However, Lin Feng's eyes remained closed and he was still surrounded by sword qi. Slowly, swords appeared and were becoming more distinct. Gu Shao frowned. Lin Feng had ignored him. Boom boom. The floor that Lin Feng was sitting started crackling. "Shameless bastard," said someone coldly. It was Meng Ba. He blocked the attack and ran in the direction from where the qi originated. Tianlong Divine Castle's people are so shameless. Lin Ruotian also arrived. He was glaring at those shameless people. "Weak as you are, how can you talk about Tianlong Divine Castle?" said Long Teng. He jumped forwards and released energies in Lin Ruotian and Meng Ba's direction. A dragon appeared and roared. "As strong as a dragon. He's got a celestial dragon body, no wonder," thought the crowd. Long Teng looked domineering and brutal. Lin Ruotian and Meng Ba threw themselves at the dragon. The dragon was actually pushing them back. "You look like fireflies fighting against the sun, die," said Long Teng aggressively. In a flash, dazzling lights fell on them. A terrifying dragon appeared again and flew towards Lin Ruotian and Meng Ba. Lin Ruotian and Meng Ba condensed all their strength and blocked the attack, but blood splashed out of their mouths. They both turned deathly pale. They were considered geniuses in the northern part of Ba Huang, however, it was still difficult for them to fight Long Teng. Even though he was stronger than them by one cultivation level, his dragon body was terrifying. "You want to die," said Long Teng, who was still blocking access to Lin Feng's room. Many people in the distance sensed all those powerful energies. Long Teng could really kill Lin Ruotian and Meng Ba. "Move. He wouldn't dare kill me," said Lin Feng to Meng Ba and Lin Ruotian using telepathy. They glanced at each other. They both had blood on the corner of their mouths. They glanced at the Long Teng and the others. "I thought Tiantai's people were amazing, but in the end, they're afraid to die. Useless pieces of trash. In Fortune City, Tiantai's people will get crushed. After Lin Feng's death, we'll kill you too so you can join him in hell," said Long Teng aggressively. Ho Qing Lin and Mu Chen had humiliated Tianlong Divine Castle. They were still upset about that. They couldn't wait to be in Fortune City and kill Tiantai's people mercilessly. Gu Shao continued walking towards Lin Feng. He laughed coldly and said, "I know that you heard everything. You watched your friends get injured and did nothing. If I were you, I wouldn't hide." Lin Feng ignored him and continued releasing whistling sword qi. "We'll see how long you can hide," said Gu Shao while continuing to move towards Lin Feng. The floor was breaking under his feet with each step he took. However, at that moment, a dazzling sword light appeared and Lin Feng opened his eyes. "Die!" shouted Lin Feng furiously. 10,000 swords were whistling as they dashed to the skies. He was releasing level 8 sword intent to oppress Gu Shao. "Bzz!" Lin Feng's dazzling sword lights condensed and moved towards Gu Zhao's third eye. Gu Shao started running backwards as fast as he could. "Die, die, die!" Lin Feng's voice echoed 3 times. His sword energies whistled and dashed to the skies. "Destroy!" Golden lights appeared and the sound of a bell resonated. Lin Feng's sword energies crashed onto the golden bell. Finally, the sword qi disappeared. The golden bell shrunk and went back into Gu Zhao's hand. He coldly looked at Lin Feng with murder in his eyes. "Even though you've broken through to the 8th Tianqi layer, you're still a piece of trash. You attacked me by surprise while as I was practicing cultivation. Tianlong Divine Castle's shameless piece of trash, and you're somehow considered a genius? You're just the trash master," said Lin Feng mockingly. Gu Zhao's facial expression looked hideous. Lin Feng's sword intent had oppressed him severely. How humiliating! "You're quite conceited," But as I've told you, Fortune City will become the grave for Tiantai's imperial cultivation disciples. After you die, I will kill all your fellow disciples one by one, said Long Teng coldly. All right, I can't wait to see that, replied Lin Feng. He pointed at Gu Shao and said coldly, you will be the first person I kill. Keep bragging, you're already dead, said Gu Shao gloomily. He wished he could kill Lin Feng. No need to talk to someone who has reached the end of their life. Unfortunately, he won't see how his friends from Tiantai will die in Fortune City, said Long Teng. Then he turned around and rose up in the air. When I'm in Fortune City, I won't let anyone from Tiantai make it to the city. I'll kill them one by one. After that, he disappeared into the darkness of the night, followed by the other members from Tianlong Divine Castle. Fortune City's name implied fortune and luck. However, you won't feel that lucky when I get there. You will be cursed by my cursing strength, thought Lin Feng. That night, mysterious people in black clothes attacked Lin Feng by surprise and were blocked by the elders from the celestial land of alchemists and then Gu Shao. Nobody else tried after that. 7 days later, the elders from the celestial land of alchemists were done concocting nature pills and brought them to Sword City. Shui Bai Yao and Lin Feng were ready to fight, and they would fight under the moonlight. Many people came to Sword City just to watch the celestial girl fight. They also wanted to see how strong the first imperial cultivation disciple of Tian was. Outside of Sword City, a lifeboat appeared with a beast inside, a Cheong-chi and a young person. Chapter 1127. Pure celestial field. It was dark outside and the full moon illuminated Sword City. Not far from Fortune City, a crowd had gathered around some palaces. They were all looking at the celestial girl from the celestial land of alchemists, Shui Bai Yao. She was getting ready to fight. Many people looked at a palace too. They knew that Lin Feng was inside it. During those last 7 days, Lin Feng hadn't come out once. Instead, he had practiced cultivation the entire time. The members from the celestial land of alchemists didn't allow him to leave anyways. Lin Feng, the celestial girl is already here. Come out and prepare yourself to die now, shouted a young man hoarsely. How dare he make the celestial girl wait for him? That young man from the celestial land of alchemists went to Lin Feng's palace and crushed a section of wall exposing Lin Feng. You still want to escape? You made a decision, now you have to bear the responsibility for it. Come out and die, said the young man mockingly. Fighting against their celestial girl, Lin Feng really wanted to die. Lin Feng stopped practicing cultivation and glared at him coldly. An intangible sword moved towards him and hurt him. How noisy! You're not the one who's going to fight me, so stop barking, said Lin Feng coldly and disdainfully. He then passed next to the young man, who turned around and yelled at Lin Feng from behind, "Enjoy the last moments of your life." Lin Feng ignored him and landed in front of Shui Bai Yao. He smiled and said, "Sorry for making you wait. Do you have what I wanted?" Shui Bai Yao didn't reply. She took out a jar containing a dazzling golden holy pill. "It's a high-level holy pill. If I lose, it'll be yours," said Shui Bai Yao. Lin Feng smiled. He knew what she meant. If he won and obtained the pill, what would happen after would have nothing to do with her. Everybody was staring at Lin Feng. If he lost, the celestial land of alchemists would protect Shui Bai Yao. If Lin Feng lost, many people would fight to steal his treasures. "Thank you very much, celestial girl," said Lin Feng, smiling as before. Lin Feng could see in her eyes that she didn't enjoy these kinds of situations. "Let's fight," said Lin Feng. He breathed in deeply and prepared himself to fight. He needed that pill at any cost. In the distance, a beam of light appeared and it emitted the sound of a machine. "Little boy, you met another celestial girl. You're becoming as popular as I was as an emperor back in the day." The crowd was surprised and saw Cheong-chi and Huang Fu-long jumping off a lifeboat. Lin Feng saw that Cheong-chi had put on weight and thought it was terribly cute. He looked like a fluffy animal. He knew nothing would happen to Cheong-chi. But surprisingly, he had also brought Huang Fu-long, an ancient beast, a Cheong-chi. The crowd looked at that ferocious-looking animal. Was he insane though? A Tian-level beast actually called himself an emperor. That wasn't normal. Ah, good, I needed a chair and someone just brought me one, said Long Teng smiling in a cold way. He wanted to take Cheong Chi for his own. Dragon body, said Cheong Chi glancing at Long Teng and saying, your shitty dragon body is useless. Even if you wanted to be my servant, I wouldn't even accept you. The crowd was astonished. Dragon body, shitty, useless? That beast was insane. Lin Feng scratched his black hair. Cheong Chi was amazingly insane. Lin Feng, we heard about you so we came to Sword City. The situation is kind of, said Huang Fu Long scratching his head. He didn't feel comfortable. Lin Feng smiled wryly and said, what happened to your hair? Lin Feng realized that Huang Fu Long's hair looked strange as if it had been burnt. Huang Fu Long looked at Cheong Chi and said in a low voice, that bastard used some kind of deployment spell to teleport us away from the Huang Sea and almost completely burnt the place where we landed. If I hadn't run fast, I would have burned alive. In the end, I just lost some hair. Lin Feng was speechless. Little boy, you keep attracting hot celestial girls. I couldn't miss that, said Cheong Chi. Emperor, use a deadly deployment spell to kill all those people who want to kill me. Alright? Said Lin Feng using telepathy. Cheong Chi stared at him and used telepathy to reply. You think I'm a Zune-level beast already? Last time, it took me 7 days to cast a deployment spell and I even used some tools from the small world. Now that so many people are watching, I can't cast a deployment spell right now. Try to find a solution. They all want you to become their pet, said Lin Feng. Cheong Chi was furious and said, I know, but I won't let it happen. You're going to die now, so stop caring about the details. After you die, I'll take care of your pet, said a young man from the celestial land of alchemists. Lin Feng glanced at him and glanced at Cheong Chi. Then he said using telepathy, Emperor, you used to be an emperor, so I am convinced that there is nothing you cannot do. You're right, said Cheong Chi. His hair had burnt too. Lin Feng pet his head and said, be a good boy. Then he turned to Shui Bai Yao. Cheong Chi was furious. Lin Feng had belittled him on purpose. If anger could give him wings, he'd have them. Snow Celestial Girl, let's fight, said Lin Feng. Shui Bai Yao suddenly started shining. She restrained her strength to the 5th Tianqi layer. You will not have any chance to defeat me. I will be merciless, so you should use your full strength, said Shui Bai Yao indifferently. Baguio, hurry up and finish him, said the strong cultivators from the celestial land of alchemists. Many people were watching them. Shui Bai Yao nodded and circulated her energies throughout her body. From under her feet, a snow lotus appeared which became a pure celestial field. It quickly grew wider. Lin Feng was also standing on that pure celestial field. He had the sensation that his pure chi was slowly being drained and that he was being slowed. No wonder they call it a celestial body. She can create celestial planes in the blink of an eye. Lin Feng stands absolutely no chance. He's much weaker than her. Now he's even stuck. He'd need to be stronger than he actually is to break free from that spell, thought the crowd. It was the first time they had seen the pure celestial field, but they had heard about it before. The pure celestial field could give birth to its own abstruse energies and turned into its own world. The host of the field could bury people inside. Lin Feng took out a flag and people were surprised. A holy weapon? Was Lin Feng going to use a holy weapon? The snow celestial girl had restrained her strength to the 5th Tianqi layer. Could he use holy weapons? What are you doing? Shouted someone furiously. Surprisingly, Lin Feng wanted to use holy weapons even though Shui Bai Yao had restrained her cultivation level. There are some things you just don't have to see, said Lin Feng glancing at those people. Suddenly, his flag turned into an illusion and surrounded them. People couldn't see their fight now, and they couldn't see how powerful their chi was. Lin Feng wants to hide? Does he think he'll win? Thought the crowd perplexed. Surprisingly, he was hiding from them. You're very confident. But in the middle of the pure celestial field, you can't do anything, said Shui Bai Yao coldly. Lin Feng looked at her and his pupils became black. How cold, she felt like she was in danger. Lin Feng's chi was the opposite of hers at that moment. It was filled with demonic chi. It's the first time I've used that kind of spell against someone, said Lin Feng, jumping forwards. His black energies suddenly enveloped the pure celestial field. Lin Feng then said, in a cold and deep voice, "Demon skill, endless demonic destruction." Chapter 1128. Deadly celestial technique. The terrifying demonic energy enveloped the pure celestial field, weakening it. After a short while, it didn't look that pure or holy anymore, nor did it look snowy white. It looked polluted and even dirty. The Three Lives Buddha Demon skills was one of the Three Lives Demon Emperor skills. It involved an advanced knowledge of demonic skills and techniques. Lin Feng had practiced demonic cultivation during those 7 days, and he had practiced both day and night. Even though he had faith in his own cultivation, he knew that the celestial girl of the celestial land of alchemists had a celestial body and would be strong. He couldn't afford to underestimate her. Shui Baiyao sensed that endless demonic destruction spell was incredibly powerful. She continued releasing pure celestial energies to fuel the pure celestial field, but Lin Feng's terrifying energies were oppressing her. Shui Baiyao raised her head and looked at Lin Feng. He looked like the devil with his hideous eyes, and his hair looked chaotic. He wasn't smiling anymore. He looked like a violent and brutal demon. She continued performing hand seals and released pure celestial energies. Suddenly, many hands appeared around her and moved towards Lin Feng. Boom boom. Lin Feng jumped up, and under his feet, the ground was black and burnt. His hair was black and had started burning as well. She grabbed Lin Feng's legs, but he quickly got rid of those hands. At that moment, the crowd could see Lin Feng again, but couldn't sense the energies. The flag was still isolating them for the most part. But they could see that Lin Feng looked like a demon now and had broken the pure celestial field. Now the celestial girl could barely move. Lin Feng hadn't died in one attack like they had thought. Their battle was incredible to watch. Why do I sense the same energies as the Huang Si? Thought Shui Baiyao. Her pure celestial energies couldn't oppress Lin Feng anymore. They had no effect. Lin Feng's black energies contained a strange corrosive energy of decay which instantly destroyed her pure celestial energies. Pure celestial lights, turn into an imperial rain and dazzle, said Shui Baiyao. Pure celestial lights came out of her mouth. Neither of them could see the sky anymore. Sharp energies fell from the sky like a rain. Boom! Lin Feng jumped forwards and the pure celestial field cracked. Dazzling energies appeared, and they contained level 8 sword intent and level 6 fire intent. They collided against the imperial rain and destroyed it. Even though the crowd couldn't sense their energies, they could imagine just how explosive the opponent's attacks were. Boom boom! Lin Feng jumped again. He was only a few steps away from Shui Baiyao. Even though Shui Baiyao knew many different skills, techniques and spells, she knew it was useless to try them. Lin Feng's aggressive demonic spells were way too powerful. At the same level, Lin Feng's attacks were too scary. However, she had to win. She couldn't lose. Her snow-white lotus and her aura became even more dazzling. She looked like a divine nymph on her lotus. The celestial body can drain the energies of the earth and sky, thought the crowd. 6th Tianqi layer. Lin Feng was surprised. With her celestial body technique, she was stronger by 1 cultivation layer. She didn't violate the rules, it was a specificity of her technique. Since you have such incredible powers, I'll turn into an ever-conquering demon, yelled Lin Feng. He ran forwards and the pure celestial field cracked again. Lin Feng borrowed the strength of the earth and sky to increase his demonic energies and threw himself at Shui Baiyao. She was oppressed by Lin Feng's evil energies, but still looked divine. Shui Baiyao's veil was torn apart by Lin Feng's energies and her face appeared. That's her face, she's so beautiful, she looks like a goddess, thought the crowd. All of a sudden, it was as if they had forgotten about the battle as they were staring at her face. She remained calm and condensed pure celestial energies in her hand. They turned into a blossoming snow lotus and a silhouette appeared in the lotus, a celestial and beautiful silhouette. I can't lose. With the deadly celestial technique, at the same level, nobody can defeat me. Besides, right now I am 1 cultivation level stronger than you. said Shui Baiyao walking towards Lin Feng. Her celestial lights dashed to the skies. Lin Feng's endless demoniac destruction territory started cracking under the pressure as well. Maybe you have a deadly celestial technique that nobody can defeat at the same level, however, demons can defy the laws of the universe, replied Lin Feng fearlessly. His demonic energies dashed to the skies along with hers. He could sense how terrifying Shui Baiyao's energies were. It seemed like either of them could die at any moment. However, the aggressive demon wouldn't let anyone stop him because he was fearless. No matter how strong his enemies were, he would destroy them. Lin Feng performed some demonic hand signs and terrifying pitch-black and gloomy energies appeared. They also contained whistling sword energies and desolate qi. Boom boom. At the same time, they jumped forwards. Hell and heaven collided. In a flash, it seemed like all the energy of the planet was exploding. Many people hoped Lin Feng was finally dead. But they still didn't know because he had used a holy weapon to hide their energies. What a bastard. They could only imagine how incredible the battle was inside. Celestial transformation, shouted Shui Baiyao. In a flash, a celestial silhouette fused with her body and she turned into an actual celestial being. Demon destruction, destroy, shouted Lin Feng in a deep and demoniac voice. In a flash, all the celestial energies vanished and a terrifying destructive energy crashed onto Shui Baiyao's body. Destroy, shouted Lin Feng furiously. It was as if he had gone insane. Shui Baiyao was moving slower now. Lin Feng ran towards her and grabbed Shui Baiyao. He then suddenly released more demonic energies and looked like a devil. Chapter 1129. Tiantai's voice. Shui Baiyao looked petrified. She couldn't move anymore because the demonic energies penetrated into her body and sealed her strength. Stop, shouted Shui Baiyao furiously. Lin Feng's energies were piercing her organs. It was atrociously painful. At the same time, she spat out qi with each word. However, Lin Feng wouldn't give her any chance. Lin Feng shook her and put his hands on her shoulders, using that leverage to quickly jump over her. He appeared behind her and pressed her body into the ground and released even more demonic energies into her body. Shui Baiyao looked terrified and desperate. She didn't even try to resist anymore. She gave up. She had lost. Lin Feng had injected fire, sword, and demonic energies into her body. Now her life was in peril. At that moment, the crowd outside looked astonished. Some others looked dumbstruck and furious. Had the celestial girl lost against Lin Feng? What was he doing now? Why was he holding her like that? Was he going to rape her in front of everybody? Asshole, let her go. Put your dirty hands away, shouted all the young men who liked her. Her veil had now fallen on the ground, torn to shreds. The crowd was speechless. Some people had the feeling that they were going to faint. Now, Lin Feng looked like he was hugging her in a perverted way. Celestial girl. Lin Feng didn't dare let her go. I lost, hurry up and leave, said Shui Baiyao, giving the jar to Lin Feng. His eyes twinkled in a resplendent way. Thank you very much. Lin Feng took the jar, let her go and moved away. He took the jar. The crowd saw that Lin Feng had taken the jar. With all the precious treasures he already had, many people thought it was a great opportunity. Kill him and take everything he has, shouted someone suddenly and furiously. Those people were from the celestial land of alchemists. Lin Feng here, said Huang Fulong to Lin Feng using telepathy. Lin Feng used his agility technique to move incredibly fast. At the same time, a wave appeared near Qiongqi. Empty space energy. Oh no, stop him. He's using a holy mark deployment spell. Stop him, they can't escape. The crowd burst into an uproar. The strong cultivators were releasing their own terrifying energies. Bzz. Dazzling lights appeared and surrounded Lin Feng. It was the empty space energy. Then they were starting to disappear. Where are you going? A gigantic hand appeared in the sky. The atmosphere started trembling violently. Lin Feng and Huang Fulong also started trembling. However, in the end, they left. Are they gone? The crowd was astonished. Lin Feng had managed to escape? Boom boom. They heard some sounds coming from far away. They gazed into the distance and saw Lin Feng. They had been attacked during the teleportation process. "What's going on?" asked Lin Feng. Huang Fulong, Qiong Qi and Lin Feng had ended up in the distance but not that far away. "Someone broke my spell." "Who?" said Qiong Qi furiously. He sounded annoyed. "Give me more abstruse crystals." "Fuck." Lin Feng kicked Qiong Qi's bottom. He was still begging for crystals. "Think of a solution now. We're going to die." "Do you think I'm not thinking? So many strong cultivators were observing us and we managed to teleport anyway, even if it wasn't far. If we hadn't, you'd be dead now. I used all the abstruse crystals I had," said Qiong Qi. His bottom hurt. He couldn't control the empty space energies, so he needed abstruse crystals for that. Terrifying Qi rose up in the air and moved towards Lin Feng. The strong cultivators wanted Lin Feng's treasures, even if they could only get his nature pill. Many Zun cultivators would go insane to get such a pill. "Amitba. Dear friends, you're chasing one of my young disciples, isn't it a bit over the top?" In the sky, dazzling golden lights appeared and blotted out the sky. Many people couldn't move anymore. The monk took out a gold alms bowl which it diffused millions of golden lights. Many people raised their heads and saw a gigantic Buddha who looked quite serious. He was slowly descending from the sky, emitting rumbling sounds. That gigantic Buddha had a golden body. His mouth was moving and he was chanting mantras. A gigantic hand appeared in front of him. He was holding a Buddhist monk in gray clothes. "Destroy," said the Buddhist monk in a cold way. The gigantic Buddha hand moved, the hand itself already blotted out the sky. Many people were shaking, including Zun cultivators. One of the strong cultivators from Tiantai was there and had been watching. Escape. Many people started running frantically. However, the large Buddha hand fell from the sky and a gigantic crater appeared. Many people gave horrible shrieks and died instantly. "You dared kill my people," said someone to the monk in gray clothes. The monk in gray clothes looked incredibly calm and serene. "You are Zun cultivators and you dared attack one of my disciples who has only broken through to the Tianqi layer. Why couldn't we kill you?" said the monk indifferently. "From now on, if Zun cultivators dare attack my disciples of the Tianqi layer, don't blame us for attacking yours," said the monk. His voice resonated far away and into the distance. That was Tiantai's voice. "How incredible, how strong, who's that?" said Huang Fulong with a big smile. He knew that Lin Feng was an imperial cultivation disciple of Tiantai now. "My third fellow disciple," said Lin Feng smiling. It seemed like the two emperors had authorized their 9 direct disciples to come out. It was the first time that he saw the Sadhu fight. He was as terrifying as Ho Qing Lin and Mu Chen. The 3 best direct disciples were terrifyingly strong. "Can I join Tiantai too?" said Huang Fulong smiling fatuously. Lin Feng replied, "I'll ask my fellow disciples." "You're really carefree. Do you know what's going on right now?" said Qiong Qi. He was terribly annoyed. "What's the matter?" asked Lin Feng. Lin Feng had known what would happen for 7 days now, so he had informed Mu Chen and now one of his fellow disciples came. Maybe the others weren't far either. Enemies we can see aren't scary, the worst ones are those we can't see. Many people have spied on us. The scariest part is that I wasted so many abstruse crystals for nothing, said Qiong Qi. It was so hard to get abstruse crystals. Some people were spying on them at that very moment. Lin Feng was surprised. He remembered those people who had attacked him by surprise the other day when he was practicing cultivation. Were they still observing them? Chapter 1130, Meng Qing's Transformation. Let's take the boat and leave? Asked Lin Feng to Qiong Qi. Nope, we can't leave. Even though the boat is fast, we can't protect ourselves while we ride it. If we try to leave, those who are secretly spying on us will attack immediately, said Qiong Qi. He looked scared. It was rare to see him like that. If Lin Feng drew too many people's attention, the situation would get difficult for Qiong Qi even. Lin Feng put a ring in Qiong Qi's paw and said, "Cast a deployment spell and let's wait for them to attack us." Qiong Qi nodded and immediately started drawing holy marks. At the same time, a golden light enveloped the air. The battle was tragic. The Sadhu fought alone against a huge group of Zun cultivators. They all took out holy weapons. Finally, they managed to make the gold alms bowl crack some. Some Zun cultivators noticed that Lin Feng looked nervous, and greed appeared on their faces. Lin Feng had underestimated some people's greed. He took out a small animal with white fur and its eyes were twinkling abnormally. She noticed that something wrong was going on. "Meng Qing!" shouted Lin Feng. She jumped into his arms. At that moment, Lin Feng took out a jar with the nature pill inside. No matter what, he had to give it to her as soon as possible. Nobody else could get their hands on it. If the situation became too complicated, he could give up some holy weapons. Gotcha! He broke the jar and the energy of the dazzling pill jumped out. Pills of that level possessed their own terrifying power. From the distance, many people saw what he was doing. Lin Feng was going to use the pill. "Meng Qing, take that," said Lin Feng, shoving it in her mouth. Lin Feng's eyes twinkled. She looked perplexed. She could sense how incredible that pill was. It even made her shiver. That pill could defy the laws of the universe. "Meng Qing!" shouted Lin Feng. Meng Qing looked at him, opened her mouth and swallowed the pill. Lin Feng looked at her and smiled in a resplendent way. However, the crowd was shaking. What was he doing? He was giving the pill to a small white animal. He had risked his life for an animal. Shui Bai Yao was astonished too. He had put his life at stake for a little animal. Why was that animal so important to him? Meng Qing's body became dazzling and the energies in her body felt extremely strange. She was regaining her strength and her cultivation level was coming back to normal. She was healing completely. "Lin Feng, what is?" Huang Fulong was dumbstruck. Lin Feng turned his head, smiled and said, "She's my wife." Huang Fulong scratched his head. He could also see pride in Lin Feng's magnificent smile. As if he was proud to have an animal wife? At that moment, Qiongqi looked at Lin Feng with hatred. Lin Feng had put their lives in danger for Xueling Long, Kacha. At that moment, the dazzling gold alms bowl finally broke completely. Many strong cultivators had rushed towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng looked at them coldly. However, a terrifying sword energy fell from the sky and a gigantic canyon was created. It even contained desolate energies too. Boom boom. A sword attacked those who wanted to attack Lin Feng. Some horrible shrieks spread in the air as some people's bodies were cut in two. "If someone dares attack, I'll kill them," said someone at that moment. A cultivator in gray clothes descended from the sky with a sword in his hand, and he was releasing desolate energy. The crowd sensed that they were suddenly growing old and very quickly. Desolate abstruse energies. That strong cultivator understood abstruse desolate energies. One flower, one world. A fresh flower descended from the sky and blotted out the sky. Slash. Sword lights illuminated the air as petals were floating around. Another extremely loud metallic sound spread in the air. A purple light moved towards the cultivator in gray clothes. It seemed like the world was collapsing. A strong cultivator rose up in the air who had a thunderhammer in his hand. "Die, go and take his treasures." Many people were running towards Lin Feng. "Grow old," said the cultivator in gray clothes. His desolate energies dashed to the skies. Many people began to move slower and were growing older. Sword drain. Sword energies dashed to the skies and turned into a Huang Sea marine animal. It seemed like it could eat anything. However, many people still tried to attack Lin Feng. They were flying towards him with their fastest speeds. Not only did they want to kill him, but they also wanted his treasures, including his little pet which had eaten the nature pill. She didn't have time to digest it, so they could still benefit from it a little. They just had to cut into the pet and take the pill. Lin Feng and the others ran away. Qiongqi looked ferocious and said, "If you dare attack me, an emperor, you'll all die." Boom boom. Qiongqi finished casting his deployment spell as two people attacked. One of them gave a horrible shriek and blood splashed. "Die." Lin Feng took out his Tianji sword and he stabbed the enemy's third eye, instantly finishing him. Lin Feng took Meng Qing and put her on the ground. He put his Tianji sword in front of her to protect her. Buzzing sounds spread in the air as a dazzling light emerged from Meng Qing's body and dashed to the skies. Her qi contained holy celestial energies. What kind of beast is that? The crowd was surprised. It had to be a special animal. That qi is similar to mine, thought Shui Baiyao looking at Meng Qing. Holy celestial qi. Surprisingly, she could sense a similar qi coming from that animal. Bzz. More powerful qi dashed to the skies. It was magnificent and resplendent. That animal was slowly transforming as a person appeared. It looked like an illusion or a hologram. He told me he wanted his friend to turn back into a human being. Shui Baiyao remembered what Lin Feng had told her. That must mean that the little animal was going to turn into a human being again. What a beautiful body, and what a celestial qi! The crowd was incredulous. She hadn't finished transforming, but everyone could see how stunning she was. Meng Qing. Lin Feng slowly turned around and looked at Meng Qing. He smiled at her in a resplendent way. He was shivering from excitement. Finally, she gradually transformed into a human being and regained her holy celestial qi. The crowd was in awe as well. How beautiful! They couldn't believe so much beauty could be found in one person. Shui Baiyao slowly walked forwards. That silhouette was like a magnet to her. In the distance, Feng Xian also appeared and she saw Meng Qing. Meng Qing hadn't completely transformed yet, but another stunning woman had just appeared in this world. Chapter 1131. Kidnapping Shui Baiyao from the celestial land of alchemists and Feng Xian from Qifeng Mountain. Those two girls stood out amongst the beautiful women from Ba Huang. The crowd was already amazed by their beauty, but at that moment, a third beautiful lady had appeared. Meng Qing had taken the nature pill and was gaining back her holy celestial qi, turning back into a human. Many people who were fighting stopped, amazed by her beauty. She wasn't a holy being, but her qi was holy and celestial. Her skin was snowy white and she looked extremely beautiful. Huang Fulong was astonished. His mouth was wide open. Then, he smiled. He finally understood what Lin Feng had meant. He has a celestial wife, poor Yu, whispered Huang Fulong. He understood what it meant when Lin Feng was telling him that his wife was injured. That bastard, he's got such a beautiful woman, he's surpassed me even, thought Xiongqi. He continued staring at Meng Qing. His eyes were twinkling. The dragon body was nothing compared to Shui Linglong's bestial monarch body. Lin Feng looked at Meng Qing and smiled in a resplendent way. Boom boom. Energies moved towards them. Lin Feng's face suddenly turned cold. He turned around and released sword energies. Everybody started moving again. Some people even attacked the sadhu. Busy. Some more people appeared. They were all strong cultivators from Tiantai. The members from the celestial land of alchemists stopped fighting, scared that the sadhu would retaliate if anything happened. If they killed Tiantai's new disciples, the sadhu would do the same to them. Emperor, help cast a spell to protect my wife, said Lin Feng to Qiongqi. The effects of the pill still needed time. That pill was more precious than a holy weapon, so she couldn't risk being attacked and the pill being stolen. Qiongqi started carving holy marks around again. Fortunately, several strong cultivators from Tiantai were there to guard him. With the deployment spell, she was guaranteed to be protected. Everybody, kill Lin Feng and steal his incredible high-quality weapons, said someone furiously in the distance. Many people went insane again. It was too tempting. Even Zun cultivators wanted to acquire more weapons. You again. Those people were from the celestial land of alchemists. Lin Feng definitely needed to kill them. Rumbling sounds spread in the air and hurt people's ears, and then Lin Feng was quickly surrounded by fighters. Lin Feng, be careful. They're here again, said Qiongqi. Lin Feng frowned as he sensed something. He raised his head and saw black silhouettes in the air above him. He couldn't see their faces precisely. Those assassins. I sensed a strength before which prevented me from casting a powerful deployment spell. It was probably them. They've just been hiding the whole time, thought Qiongqi. At that same moment, people were fighting everywhere. Most couldn't fight against those assassins though. It's them. Lin Feng was furious. The other day, those same people had appeared as well. They had also threatened the celestial land of alchemists and said that if Shui Bai Yao won against Lin Feng, they couldn't kill him. Otherwise, the celestial land of alchemists would never leave Sword City alive. Lin Feng looked at them, but they didn't come down. One of them shook his hand and a mysterious draining strength emerged from his robe. "A holy weapon, get away little boy," shouted Qiongqi suddenly. A terrifying strength emerged from that robe and Lin Feng sensed wind brush against his body. That strength surrounded him and anyone near him. Roar! Qiongqi roared and spat out flames. At the same time, Lin Feng took out his Tianji sword and destroyed that draining strength. Hastily, Lin Feng ran away from Meng Qing and Qiongqi. Those people wanted him, not Meng Qing or Qiongqi. BZ, a terrifying strength moved towards Lin Feng. It acted as if it wanted to swallow him. Lin Feng couldn't compete with Zun cultivators who had their own holy weapons, so he rose up in the air, ready to sacrifice himself. "Lin Feng!" shouted Huang Fu Long, taking out his dragon axe. "Stop!" shouted Qiongqi furiously. Jumping to them now was equal to committing suicide. That robe was a high-quality holy weapon. The assassins could easily capture ordinary Zun cultivators with it, let alone Lin Feng. "No!" shouted Meng Qing coldly. Her eyes had been closed the whole time and now she suddenly opened them. "Stop!" shouted Lin Feng, taking out a sword. He stopped in the air and said, "Wait for me, I'll come back." "Help me protect my wife," shouted Lin Feng to the one in the gray clothes who had helped him the last time. After that, Lin Feng disappeared in the robe. "Grow old," shouted the cultivator in gray clothes. However, many people attacked him at the same time. Immediately after, they walked into a portal, empty space strength appeared and they disappeared. All this happened in the blink of an eye. They just wanted to capture Lin Feng, it seemed. No, Meng Qing started running, she had tears in her eyes. Lin Feng had done so much to save her, they didn't even have a moment to spend time together before someone had captured Lin Feng. "The effects of the pill you took haven't dispersed yet. Don't waste it and don't worry. Lin Feng can handle himself, so nothing will happen to him," said the cultivator in gray clothes to Meng Qing. She looked at him with skepticism. "Really? Nothing would happen to him? Don't worry, nobody in Ba Huang province can compete with the emperor's direct disciples. Nobody can stop them," said the cultivator in gray clothes. He could see that Meng Qing didn't believe him. "Don't disappoint Lin Feng. He's done everything for you. He even risked his life to find that pill to save you." Qiongqi encouraged. Meng Qing remained silent. She flew back down to the ground and continued absorbing the strength of the pill. Her qi was celestial, but it also contained ice-cold energies. Her tears started to freeze on the corner of her eyes. She had turned back into an animal for Lin Feng and then Lin Feng turned into a demon for her. Now, if anything happened to Lin Feng, she would go on a rampage and create oceans of blood. Chapter 1132, Sword Slave. When everybody was fighting, a mysterious group of influence with a holy weapon had appeared and captured Lin Feng. Immediately after, they used a teleportation spell to leave. The strong cultivators from Tiantai didn't even have time to fight back. "It's them." The crowd remembered those people on the other day who had threatened the celestial land of alchemists in Sword City. They had told everyone Lin Feng was theirs. Now, they had shown how strong they really were. They had managed to kidnap Lin Feng while everyone was still fighting to get near him. All those who had already died had died for nothing. They didn't know who had kidnapped Lin Feng, but after that great battle, everybody knew that Lin Feng had defeated the holy girl from the celestial land of alchemists. Maybe he wouldn't die, maybe the diviner in Fortune City would pronounce Lin Feng's name one day. There was also Lin Feng's wife, that beast which had transformed into a human. Bzz. A dazzling, holy, celestial light surrounded Meng Qing's body. The pill were having an even more intense effect on her body, to the extent that a mysterious and strange strength appeared. She looked like an illusion. "What kind of beast is she?" whispered many people. They had never heard of such a beast. Even Feng Xian and Shui Baiyao looked perplexed. Not only was she more beautiful than them, but she was probably as gifted as them. She had to be from an aristocratic animal family, otherwise she wouldn't have possessed such a holy and celestial qi. Many old men were looking at her with twinkling eyes, especially the elders from the celestial land of alchemists. When they saw her, they immediately thought of a specific animal clan. It doesn't look good at all, thought Xiongqi. Some people already knew Meng Qing's social status, and in that world, it was better to hide such delicate information. The nature pill revived her holy celestial energies. Now, if she could gain her ancient memories, that would help a lot. Qiongqi was thinking. Tiantai's strong cultivators came to protect Lin Feng. They coldly glanced around at the crowd. The sadhu put his palms together and said, "Several influential groups participated in the battle today. If something happens to the Tiantai's first imperial cultivation disciples, we will have to settle accounts. If nothing happens to him, but Zun cultivators from the other influential groups attack him again someday, we will take drastic measures." A few strong cultivators groaned and rose up in the air. They had nothing to do there now that Lin Feng was gone. Now, they couldn't capture the girl either because Tiantai people would go insane. After Lin Feng was kidnapped, he saw lights shine as he appeared in a vast and quiet forest. There were 8 imposing and domineering Zun cultivators standing next to him. He glanced at them and asked, "Who are you? Why did you kidnap me?" Nobody replied to him. A few people even left. The others remained to guard the surroundings and remained silent. He continued thinking about the situation. Where was he? Why had they taken him there? Why did they take such great efforts to capture him? But no matter what, Lin Feng realized he had no way to leave. He didn't stand a chance against those guards. Very quickly, those who had left a moment before came back. They glanced at him indifferently and said, "Follow us." All the strong cultivators surrounded Lin Feng and released qi to constrict his body. He had no choice but obey them. The one who had just talked led the way. Those people didn't kill him and didn't seem interested in his weapons, so what exactly did they want? They came out of the forest and Lin Feng saw many buildings. It's them. Lin Feng hadn't been to that place for a very long time. But why would they want to capture him? Lin Feng didn't understand. He followed those people and arrived in another place he recognized. That place looked so old, Lin Feng had a strange feeling walking up to it. Lin Feng was standing in Jiang'a and in front of him was the sword grave. Is it because I drew Emperor Wu Tianjian's attention? Thought Lin Feng. What were they hiding? At that moment, Jian Wu Bei arrived outside. When he saw Lin Feng and the strong cultivators around him, he looked surprised and very unhappy. "Wu Bei, did you prepare the sacrifice?" asked the elders to Jian Wu Bei. "It's good now, but great-grandpa," Jian Wu Bei looked reluctant. "Wu Bei, I know that you hoped you could rely on your own strength, but I also hope you can become strong like your ancestors. You have to understand that we're not as glorious or prestigious as we were in the past, we are becoming weaker. If we didn't have the ruins, Jiang'a would have disappeared already. Therefore, apart from relying on us, you also need to rely on this. We need to make Jiang'a become glorious again," said the strong cultivator. "Why take such risks though, great-grandpa? We might not be able to control the godly weapon," said Jian Wu Bei. "Stop talking. The godly weapon was Emperor Wu Tianjian's weapon. How can say that?" asked the strong cultivator. Jiang'a had to be revived. In Sword City, there were many powerful groups which oppressed Jiang'a. If things continued that way, they'd be destroyed someday. "Open the sword grave," shouted the old man furiously. In a flash, a terrifying sword qi emerged which smelled like blood. They had started the blood sacrifice by washing the holy weapon with blood already. "What are you doing?" asked Lin Feng. He wanted to move back, but the strong cultivators were holding him firmly. Jian Wu Bei's great-grandfather slowly turned around and looked at Lin Feng. "For a short time, you'll become a peerless sword cultivator, able to kill anyone who wants to harm you." "Haste brings no success, I don't need that kind of opportunity," said Lin Feng. He could guess what they wanted to do with him. "We don't need you to agree. You'll become a member of our clan whether you want it or not." "You'll become a peerless sword cultivator," said that person. Lin Feng had no choice. "I don't suppose you'll let me think about it for a few days?" insisted Lin Feng. "Go in immediately," said the strong cultivators, pushing him into the grave. Lin Feng immediately sensed energies, and they were lethal. Jiang wanted the sword's soul to use Lin Feng's body. Then he would become the sword's slave. He would never be himself again. "Why me?" asked Lin Feng coldly. "Because the godly weapon chose you, you should feel honored," said the strong cultivator coldly. Then he shouted, "Go in now." Chapter 1133, Swallowing the Demon Sword, Honored, repeated Lin Feng. Turning into a sword slave was nothing great. Lin Feng's soul would die just from the sword intent. The old man said even colder, "If you don't go in, we will help you." Lin Feng glanced at them in a cold way, but the old man was looking at him in a calm way. Lin Feng's cultivation level was too low, so he couldn't do anything. "All right, I'll do it." Lin Feng grinded his teeth and jumped towards the depths of the grave. "Wasting time won't change anything, you're doomed, and in any case. Sacrificing yourself for Jiang is an honor," said the old man coldly behind Lin Feng. Lin Feng continued walking into the grave and arrived where the emperor's sword was buried. The door of the grave slowly closed itself. The strong cultivators sat down cross-legged and closed their eyes. They looked expressionless, but their hearts were pounding. They were going to help Jiang rise again. That sword was Emperor Wu Tianjian's godly weapon. Emperor Wu Tianjian and that sword's souls had fused together into that sword. Using Lin Feng's body, the sword would live again. Sword cultivators were scary. They couldn't wait to see their ancestor come back to life in Lin Feng's body. Lin Feng entered the grave. The sword was emitting sad wailing sounds. Its energies directly moved towards Lin Feng. Bzzz. Sword intent emerged. The godly weapon was dazzling as its energies surrounded Lin Feng. The godly weapon rose up in the air and continued emitting wailing sounds. Lin Feng could feel how sad the sword was, how badly it wanted to go outside again. "It seems like the sword doesn't want to use my body," thought Lin Feng. He could feel the sword's emotions. "Woo woo!" The sword was crying, it couldn't stop weeping. The other swords started shaking with it. It was as if they had sensed offensive energies. Bzzz. The dazzling sword lights moved to Lin Feng all of a sudden. Finally, the sword pointed to Lin Feng. Lin Feng moved back, but he could be as fast as that sword. It reached him instantly. Bzzz. The entire grave was shaking. A terrifying and aggressive chi surrounded the sword. The godly sword stopped and Lin Feng suddenly released his own demonic chi at the sword. It was Lin Feng's demonic sword. The demon sword had sensed the danger and broke through the demon's seal stone. Lin Feng was sweating intensely. A moment before, the sword had almost penetrated into his body. He couldn't control that sword if it made succeeded. "Whose chi is that?" thought Lin Feng. When the godly sword had tried to penetrate into his body a moment before, he had sensed an aggressive and incredible chi. It was familiar, but it quickly disappeared again. The demonic sword faced the godly sword. Bzzz. A terrifying strength appeared. It looked like all the other swords had to obey their king. The demonic sword's chi was easily oppressed, making it shake and emit buzzing sounds. Back then, Lin Feng had asked his grandfather about the demon sword's life. A strong cultivator had used that sword to fight against the ancestor of the Yu clan, then the Zun cultivator turned it into a holy weapon. That strong cultivator had become a demon, that's why the demon sword was so evil. After that, the ancestor of the Yu clan and another strong cultivator divided it into 9 parts and sealed it in the 9 Swords Mountain. All the swords of the world had to obey to that sword. The godly sword released absorbing energies and the demon sword was going insane trying to resist. Finally, a sound was heard as the demon sword was drawn towards the godly sword. It was slowly absorbed by the godly sword as terrifying demonic energies appeared as the demonic sword was roaring furiously. Boom, boom, boom. The swords suddenly started bouncing off the walls of the grave. A huge hole appeared and the ground was shaking. Lin Feng was petrified as he watched the swords fighting. Their qi was incredible. Finally, the demonic sword became one with the godly sword. Some lights appeared on the godly sword, as if it hadn't breathed in a long time. The sword is eating the demonic sword. Lin Feng's body twitched. The demonic sword, which had its own spirit, was swallowed by the other sword. Lin Feng was furious. He had just lost a holy weapon for nothing. But now he was even more worried for his own life. A strong and powerful qi invaded the grave again. The godly sword shook as it released its powerful energies at Lin Feng. It pointed to Lin Feng again. There was a connection between that sword and Lin Feng now because of his previous connection to the demonic sword. The godly sword suddenly became dazzling. Ah! Suddenly, someone screamed. Lin Feng realized that someone else had appeared at the grave. Lin Feng had already seen that person. Last time he left the grave, Lin Feng had seen the protector of the grave, a sick-looking old man. That old man taken out a broom and swept the interior of the grave, sighing. "How sad, the sword needs to rely on another sword to become strong again," said the old man, sweeping the dust away. He kept sighing. Then, they had hoped for Jiang again, but the sword hadn't swallowed a human, it had swallowed another sword. The godly sword was still shaking. Lin Feng found out that it was slowly moving towards the sick-looking old man as it started penetrating into his third eye. "Master!" Lin Feng shouted. The old man had no qi, he didn't even look like a cultivator at all. Nonetheless, Lin Feng didn't underestimate him. "I'm a sick-looking old man, there's no need to call me master. Don't think that I got the sword thanks to my skills. I've been cleaning the grave for such a long time that the sword and I became friends. All those swords are alive too, so they're my friends as well," said the old man, shaking his head. He stretched his hand and grabbed the sword. An incredible qi came out from the sword and caressed the old man's head. "I would be stupid if I believed him," thought Lin Feng. He glanced at the old man. The old man was at least a low-level Zun cultivator, otherwise the sword qi would have killed him then. But now, all his hope was in his hands. "Master, your cultivation level may be insignificant, but I have only broken through to the 5th Tianqi layer. I think using my body to host the sword would be a disgrace for Emperor Wu Tianjin," said Lin Feng politely. The old man looked at Lin Feng and smiled indifferently. He stretched out his hand, waving, and said, "Little boy, sit down." Then he put his broom on the ground and sat down too. Chapter 1134. The old man's teachings. Lin Feng looked at the sword in his third eye, his mouth twitched, but he sat down too. He didn't feel great remaining there. He had almost been swallowed by that sword. The old man could easily shake his hand and Lin Feng would become the sword's slave. "Don't worry. The sword fused together with your demon sword, which contained your qi. It won't replace your sword with yourself. It doesn't want to turn into a human being," whispered the old man as if he was trying to calm Lin Feng. Lin Feng smiled wryly and nodded. Worrying was useless at that point. "Master, how do you know it doesn't want to turn into a human being?" asked Lin Feng. "Cough, cough," the old man coughed. He raised his head and smiled. "I'm old, it might make you laugh, little friend, but I'm really just an old man. I've been cleaning this grave for 100 years now, which means I've known these swords for 100 years. How many days and nights have I spent with them? I understand them better than anyone else, so I can easily know what they are thinking." 100 years. Lin Feng stared at the old man. Was that old man really ordinary? No wonder that the swords liked him. "I see, so why did it attack me?" asked Lin Feng, glancing at the sword. It shook a little, scaring Lin Feng again. That sword was threatening him. It is just naughty. Don't blame it for its demeanor," said the old man, shaking his head and smiling wryly. "Jiang's people only know that the sword belonged to the emperor back in the day. They only consider it as a peerless godly weapon. What they don't know is that when the emperor condensed his soul in that sword, he didn't condense much of his soul in it before disappearing. Therefore, the sword is like a human child, it is still childish." A child? Lin Feng was speechless. The emperor used that sword and the old man described it as naughty. Could people from Jiang'a know those swords so well? Jiang'a's people are old sword cultivators and they don't understand the sword's personality. They only know how to borrow the strength of a sword to the extent that they want to use your body as a weapon, making you turn into a sword slave. Continued the old man, sighing and shaking his head. But even though that sword is naughty, it has its own life and it knows many things. For example, people from Jiang'a are Emperor Wu Tianjian's descendants. Therefore, last time a strong cultivators attacked Jiang'a, it attacked too. That's why they're looking for a sword slave. Unfortunately, they chose you, but the sword doesn't want to do it. However, it wanted to help the emperor's descendants, so it thought it had no choice. Woo! The sword was weeping again. It felt so sad. Lin Feng was skeptical. Did the old man tell him the truth? Master, what about what happened the other day? Asked Lin Feng. The old man sighed again and shook his head again. He looked disappointed. Jiang'a's people are the emperor's descendants. They think that they actually understand swords, but in fact, they don't. They're not even worth calling sword cultivators. They'll never be able to control the emperor's sword. Not worth calling sword cultivators? If someone heard the old man now, how would they react? Lin Feng couldn't say anything anyway. He was the same as those people. He didn't understand swords either, especially compared to an old man who had spent 100 years alone with them. They've tried to control that sword many times, but they can't. Imagine, that sword was the emperor's and it's already so old. They don't even know how to study sword cultivation. They only know how to release explosive energies using swords. They know how to use swords to win battles, but that's all. Later on, they thought about the sacrifice and you appeared. Last time the sword reacted that way because it knew you understood it. It likes you. But Jiang'a's people didn't understand what it meant and thought it meant that the sword had chosen you as its host. Not only did they misunderstand the sword, but they also humiliated it. The old man kept sighing and shaking his head. Maybe that old man was disappointed as well. Master, are you not from Jiang'a then? Asked Lin Feng. He was curious. No, I'm just a cleaner. They don't even pay attention to me, replied the old man. If the old man was telling the truth, Jiang'a's people were really disappointing and pathetic. Even the old man who wasn't that strong understood swords better than them. He was probably the only one who understood the emperor's sword. Actually, they should consider themselves lucky to have such a person in Jiang'a, but they didn't even realize how interesting he was. On top of that, they misunderstood the emperor's sword and had thought it wanted a slave. Little friend, you're a sword cultivator, right? Asked the old man. Lin Feng shrugged. As the old man saw it, Jiang'a's people were not worth calling sword cultivators, so how could Lin Feng say he was one? I wouldn't dare call myself a sword cultivator, said Lin Feng, smiling wryly. Don't be humble. You're not strong, but my little friend likes you. It means that you're smart and that you understand swords. They can't even do that. You're a better sword cultivator than them, at least, said the old man. His kind words were reassuring. Maybe that I'm just lucky. I don't believe in luck because I'm old. Everything exists for a reason. Luck is just something you create. Show me your sword intent, said the old man. All right. Lin Feng nodded, stood up, walked backwards and released his level 8 sword intent. Sword Chi whistled and started making all the swords whistle too. 5th Tian Chi layer, level 8th sword intent, not bad. Come here, said the old man. He then asked, do you understand swords? Not much. Maybe you can teach me some things, said Lin Feng, nodding. He admitted that he didn't know much. After your sword intent reaches its highest level, what will it become? Asked the old man. Abstruse sword energy? Whispered Lin Feng. There are many sorts of abstruse energies. It just depends on people's understanding. There are fire and water abstruse energies, gold and wood abstruse energies, lightning abstruse energies, wind abstruse energies, empty space abstruse energies, absorbing abstruse energies, even decay abstruse energies, and reincarnation abstruse energies. There are many kinds of abstruse energies, but have you ever heard of sword abstruse energies? What is sword abstruse energy? Creating a sword with your thoughts and energies? Even sword intent can do that. Sword abstruse energy doesn't exist? Lin Feng was surprised. He was trying to understand what sword abstruse energy was. When you understand wind abstruse energies, you can move as fast as the wind and it has an impact on your speed. When you understand fire abstruse energies, your attacks become more explosive and you can burn the earth and sky. When you understand decay abstruse energies, you can make things decay, but what could sword abstruse energy be? Asked the old man. Lin Feng remained silent. What was sword abstruse energy? Thinking and creating a sword? Thinking and killing people? Was there nothing after sword intent? But why did so many people practice sword cultivation and say that sword cultivators, at high levels, were terrifying? Lin Feng realized that he had always misunderstood something in the field of sword cultivation. The old man saw that Lin Feng remained silent. He smiled indifferently and said, "You don't come from a rich and prestigious family. You've just broken through to the 5th Tianqi layer. That's already amazing. You probably understand some spells of the Zunqi layer even. So, if you don't understand swords, do you understand Zun cultivators?" asked the old man. Zun cultivators? They can understand abstruse energies, replied Lin Feng. Can Zun cultivators understand only one type of abstruse energy? Of course not, some can comprehend more than that, replied Lin Feng. Indeed. There can be huge differences between Zun cultivators of the same level, much larger than Tian cultivators of the same level. In what way do the differences lie? Well, some people understand several abstruse energies, first and second. Some cultivators understand more powerful types of abstruse energies. For example, a cultivator who understands an ordinary type of abstruse energy is a lot weaker than a cultivator who understands decay abstruse energy. Chapter 1135. Raising a sword. Lin Feng remained silent. He understood what the old man meant. Zun cultivators of the same level had different understanding abilities of abstruse energies. It was like abstruse crystals at the same level, they had different levels of efficiency. For example, a normal abstruse crystal of high quality and an abstruse crystal of high quality with a spirit were different. The latter was a lot more expensive. Do you know how to evaluate if a Zun cultivator is a genius or not? Asked the old man, smiling at Lin Feng. It seemed like he had completely forgotten about why Lin Feng was in there, the sacrifice and so on. He was fascinated by swords and their cultivation. Lin Feng was also becoming captivated by the topic. The old man was offering him priceless advice on cultivation, after all. Those who understand several types of abstruse energies and who have a high understanding of abstruse energies, replied Lin Feng. Kind of, but not only. It's not about understanding as many types of abstruse energies as possible. Control is essential too. Even at a low level, geniuses can release strong abstruse energies. Ordinary people, even at a high level, cannot release powerful abstruse energies. Therefore, some Zun cultivators are old, but remain at a low level. Of course, we can't underestimate low-level cultivators. Some people are strange too. Some people study abstruse energies for 100 years, but don't see a rise in level. They don't show how strong they really are, but sometimes they can amaze the world with a single brilliant feat. For example, I heard about someone who understood life and death abstruse energies. He had meditated for 100 years studying just those energies. When he came out, he had only broken through to the 2nd Zunqi layer, so everybody despised him. However, he could kill medium-level Zun-level cultivators easily. He could even fight cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer. That was because he had a level 8 life and death abstruse energy. With only one thought, he could steal people's lives. Besides, when he started fighting, he also started leveling up very quickly. He quickly became an emperor. It was as if nobody could stop him anymore. That's what a genius is. 2nd Zunqi layer, level 8 life and death abstruse energy. He went straight to becoming an imperial level cultivator. Unfortunately, Jiang's people don't understand swords. They don't even try to understand the sources of strength. Sometimes, they even do counterproductive things like trying to find extremely powerful sword spells and techniques or incredible swords. Even that thing with the sacrifice, it's the opposite of what a real sword cultivator should do. said the old man, shaking his head and sighing. He looked grave and said, "Back then, Emperor Wu Tianjian studied how to control swords for 3 years, then he studied sword energies for 7 years, and then he learned how to raise swords for 10 years. Then, someday he used his swords and amazed the world. 3 years to control swords, 7 to study their energies, 10 years to raise swords, what did that mean?" Lin Feng didn't understand, but the old man continued, "Emperor Wu Tianjian was a real genius. He studied how to handle sword for 3 years, during which he learnt spells and techniques. In just those 3 years, he learnt a myriad of sword skills and techniques. After that, he decided to give up swords and studied only their energies. He didn't touch a sword for 7 years. After 7 years, he decided to touch swords again, but not to kill people. He wanted to learn how to raise swords, so he did that for 10 years. How to raise a sword? Asked Lin Feng. He was captivated. You need to understand things related to the Zunqi layer before you can understand that. When you break through to the Zunqi layer, the path of cultivation doesn't become broader. It becomes narrower because Zun cultivators must rely on their understanding abilities. They must know how to control abstruse energies. Some people only understand basic abstruse energy, such as fire abstruse energy, so they need other things to fight, such as tools. That kind of cultivator is weak. Even powerful external sources have their limits. Then, some people understand several types of abstruse energies. Their cultivation is less limited and they can resort to more way of fighting. Sword cultivators have terrified people since the antiquity, therefore, many people want to become sword cultivators. But really strong sword cultivators are rare. In the last 5,000 years, Emperor Wu Tianjian is the only who has amazed Ba Huang. Even though he left his legacy in Jiang'e, there are no strong sword cultivators here, quite the opposite. People have always feared sword cultivators because the sword is the king of weapons. You'll see that swords act rarely like other holy weapons. You'll realize that holy marks, which contain abstruse energies, are not as numerous or as dazzling on swords. Swords don't have special powers either. The most important thing for a sword is its soul, like your demonic sword which has a demon soul. Lin Feng was lost in thought. Indeed, his sword was different from his other holy weapons. Swords don't need special powers, repeated the old man before adding, just try and use that sword. The old man wanted Lin Feng to use the emperor's sword. Little boy, go and see him, said the old man to the sword. Lin Feng was speechless. Little boy? The sword buzzed and went towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng's mouth twitched as he stretched his hand. The sword turned around him, which scared Lin Feng to death. Luckily, it didn't try to invade his body. It then slowly fell into his hand. Lin Feng suddenly felt extremely confident. It was as if he held all the strength of the universe. How scary, thought Lin Feng. His heart started pounding. That sword was incredible and gave him an incredible feeling. Besides, he also felt like he was close to that sword. It was probably because it had swallowed his demonic sword. Don't you feel invincible? You can release an incredible strength with that sword. Try and release thunder abstruse energy to attack, said the old man, smiling. Lin Feng stretched out his hand and thunder abstruse energy suddenly emerged from the sword. It was purple and dazzling to the eyes. Lin Feng's stomach contracted as he then immediately recalled the energies. How scary! I can release thunder abstruse energy? Lin Feng was in disbelief. He knew it wasn't his own abstruse energy, of course. Try to release ice energy, said the old man. Lin Feng frowned and tried. Suddenly, ice energies surrounded him. Lin Feng knew he didn't have to try anymore. That was ice abstruse energy, capable of freezing the earth and sky. Don't you want to try to release other types of abstruse energies, for example empty space abstruse energy? Said the old man, smiling. No need, said Lin Feng, shaking his head. He knew that he could release all sorts of abstruse energies with that sword. You understood? Asked the old man. At that moment, the sword left, leaving Lin Feng smiling wryly. Swords contain all sorts of abstruse energies, therefore, there's no need to do anything special to them. The old man nodded and said, Indeed, those holy weapons with special powers are powerful, but they only contain one kind of power. Swords are different. You can use swords to release any kind of abstruse energy, but for that, you first have to understand those abstruse energies. That's why real sword cultivators are terrifying. Those abstruse energies found in swords don't belong to the swords themselves though, right? Asked Lin Feng. The old man loved swords and loved talking about them. He considered swords as the emperors of weapons. That's why Emperor Wu Tianjian spent years learning how to use swords, how to use skills and techniques, and how to raise swords, said the old man with admiration. He learned how to raise his sword using 5 types of abstruse energies, including empty space abstruse energies and lightning abstruse energies. You can raise your swords with other kinds of abstruse energies if you want, but the most important thing is that you understand those abstruse energies as much as possible first. And when you master that aspect, then your sword can raise you and teach you how to use even more types of abstruse energies. Chapter 1136. The Young Master, Swords Can Raise Humans. Lin Feng was amazed after hearing that. It was as if he had just heard an incredible secret. Sword cultivators have to focus on 2 sorts of cultivation practices. The first one is to understand abstruse energies on their own. The second part is to understand swords. Then they can raise swords, imbuing them with some abstruse energies, and when a cultivator's soul fuses together with the sword becomes similar to a human being and can teach the cultivator in return. People's views on cultivation are often limited, so being able to understand all sorts of abstruse energies is incredible even without practicing sword cultivation, thought Lin Feng. Of course, Lin Feng couldn't imagine what it was like. He had so many options on the path of cultivation. The second method was like becoming a sword. It was also a chance at learning abstruse energies. The path of cultivation is complex and it becomes even more complex as you progresses. Apart from natural abilities, a cultivator also has to rely on his spirit sometimes. Those who come from better families have better spirits. A cultivator's personality is important too. The stronger a cultivator becomes, the more he has to rely on himself. If you obtain an abstruse crystal but you don't understand what it is, then it's useless to you. Understanding abstruse energies isn't so simple. So studying several types of abstruse energies is even harder. Those who rely on themselves, study hard and understand things are actually gifted. What about spirits? Asked Lin Feng. You inherit your spirit at birth and it has an impact on your cultivation. If you have a silver spirit, you can move faster and it allows you to understand wind intent a lot better than wind abstruse energy. If you have a shadow spirit, you can understand shadow abstruse energy better. The spirit itself is also a powerful tool. It can even help you understand several types of abstruse energies. Some powerful spirits can even grant you a special body, explained the old man patiently. Little friend, do you want to learn how to raise swords? Asked the old man smiling. Lin Feng was incredulous. Raise swords? Teaching a sword how to use abstruse energies and then use them for himself. Of course, that was extremely beneficial. If you are willing to teach me, I am, of course, willing to learn, replied Lin Feng respectfully. All right, relax, I'll transmit a technique to you, said the old man. Lin Feng nodded. The old man opened his third eye and a light appeared. It moved towards Lin Feng's third eye. Lin Feng closed his eyes and said nothing. He slowly inspected what the old man had transmitted to him. After a few seconds, he opened his eyes again. His mouth was hanging wide open. He smiled at the old, speechlessly. Do you still want to study? Asked the old man with a smile yet not a smile. Lin Feng was staring back at the old man. He smiled wryly and nodded firmly. Of course. You use your soul to raise a sword. If you want your sword to learn how to use lightning abstruse energies, you must prepare it for that. You need to strike the sword's soul, using your own soul, 5 times with thunder to make it understand thunder abstruse energies. Of course, during the process, the sword will release sword abstruse energies. The process is very painful. Do you think you can withstand the pain? If you want to teach your sword how to use fire abstruse energies, you'll be attacked by fire. That will burn your soul, and then your sword will know how to use fire abstruse energies. I'm sure you can imagine how painful it is. Each time you teach your sword how to use a new abstruse energy, you first have to bear the pain. Back then, Emperor Wu Tianjian spent 10 years raising swords while traveling around the continent. He looked for the best fire, the best thunders, he sensed the best energies. That is how he became an emperor, through lots of suffering. Could you bear that much suffering? The old man asked Lin Feng. Lin Feng's heart was suddenly filled with an indomitable will as he nodded. You must take great efforts on the path of cultivation, you must defy the laws of the universe. There is no easy way down this path. To create the best abstruse energies, you have to pay the price. Besides, you gave me an opportunity to become stronger, so I will cherish that opportunity, said Lin Feng, standing up. He bowed in front of the old man. He now had a sword-raising technique. He would have to defy the laws of the universe to practice it. He would need to be struck by lightning, to be burnt directly by fire. The old man smiled, shook his head and sighed. Poor Jiang's people. Emperor Wu Tianjian left so many incredible spells and techniques for them and nobody practices them. They just want to get his sword. Lin Feng remained silent. There was a saying, wealth never survives 3 generations. It was a philosophical theory which didn't imply that rich people's descendants were incompetent, it was just that they were too dependent on their families. Jiang was no exception. Emperor Wu Tianjian was their ancestor, so they were proud. The emperor had left so many things for them and in the end, they neglected the fundamentals and concentrated on the materials. Master, why don't you teach all those things to the people of Jiang? Asked Lin Feng. If they showed interest, I would. I am willing to teach anyone if they feel like it. But they've never shown any interest. Besides, for them, I am just a sick old man whose job is to clean, that's all, said the old man, sighing and shaking his head. Master, does it only have a sword's soul? Asked Lin Feng. According to the memories he had received, the sword's soul had been created using the emperor's soul because he wanted to raise it. Now the sword had grown up. Lin Feng was wondering if a sword needed several souls to possess several abstruse energies. That sword's soul seemed so simple though. The old man smiled and shook his head. You also noticed. That little boy doesn't have a soul now, he has already grown up and changed. Now he's a wise spirit. What exactly is he then? A sword spirit, said the old man in a solemn way. He has a spirit, a life. He's still young for a spirit though, so he's still immature. A sword with a spirit, like an animal. Do you want him to stay with you? Asked the old man, smiling. Lin Feng didn't know what to say. He scratched his head and said, naturally. Little boy. The old man looked at Lin Feng and smiled wryly, scratching his head. Even though he's young, the fusion of many souls gave birth to his spirit. He's both aggressive and naughty, he won't listen to you. If you could control him, that would be great for your cultivation, but right now he is useless to you. I can just keep him, I don't need to use him. He can protect me if things ever get too bad. Protect you? The old man scratched his head and looked at Lin Feng, smiling. All right, you say you can use him to protect your life. I'll tell him to listen to you 3 times in protecting your life. Then I'll make him come back to this grave. Lin Feng's eyes twinkled. He was thinking about many things. That sword had a wise spirit and could control abstruse energies. Even if he didn't use it, he could still try to make friends with it. Chapter 1137. Kneeling down, of course, being able to try to use it 3 times was already good enough. Even if Zun cultivators threatened him, he would be able to oppress them with that sword. Will you really tell him to listen to me 3 times? Said Lin Feng in a weak voice. If the sword didn't listen, he would be doomed. Don't worry, I've known him for 100 years, so he listens to me, said the old man, nodding and smiling. Then he said to the sword, little boy, you understood what I said. You follow him and listen to him 3 times, after that you will come back to the grave. The sword kept shaking while it pointed at Lin Feng. Lin Feng felt strange. It was as if the sword really was a person. Go, after 3 times, come back to the grave, repeated the old man. It started flying around and became dazzling. Suddenly, it attacked the wall and broke the ceiling of the grave as it dashed to the sky. Bzz. It then pointed at Lin Feng, fell down from the sky and penetrated into his body. Gotcha! Lin Feng clenched his fists. He was soaked in a cold sweat. Phew, he breathed in deeply. Fortunately, it wasn't doing anything. If the sword wanted, it could turn Lin Feng into a slave, so Lin Feng was nervous. Of course, he also knew that the old man wouldn't harm him. He didn't need to. Outside of the grave, many strong cultivators were releasing a powerful qi. When the sword broke through the ceiling of the grave and pierced through it, they sensed that the energies could even hurt them. Was the sword in Lin Feng's body now? At that moment, an old man looked at the grave in a serious way and tears appeared in his eyes. He raised his head and said, "The sword became a human being. We're going to rise again." He hoped Jiang'e would become glorious like in the past. He didn't know that the old man inside the grave had kept insulting them and claimed that they didn't understand swords. However, at that moment, the old man in the grave told Lin Feng to be quiet. He released energies and fixed the ceiling. He couldn't let those people release their godly awareness and inspect the grave. He smiled at Lin Feng and said, "Little boy, stay in here and study swords. There are too many people outside who hope that the sword took over you." "All right," said Lin Feng, smiling and nodding. He took out his Tianji sword. It was a gift from Tianqi, the symbol of Tianqi, and it was a holy weapon. Lin Feng wanted to raise that sword in the future. "Master, in the future, I want to raise this sword. After having condensed souls inside, will I be able to modify it and level it up?" asked Lin Feng. Back in the day, Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword was less strong than that sword. Your sword will continue to become stronger after you condense souls in it. If you think it's not powerful, you can also change some parts to modify it and so on, so don't worry. "Thank you so much for your teachings," said Lin Feng, nodding. He loved his Tianji sword because Tianqi had given it to him as a symbol. He would never forget Tianqi. He would raise the sword with love. He raised his Tianji sword and cut his finger, then blood dripped. He cut all his fingertips and even more blood dripped. At the same time, Lin Feng released his souls and they went into the Tianji sword. To raise a sword, he needed to give it a soul. He needed his soul to fuse together with the sword. He had to completely be one with his sword, and then it would start living at some point. Lin Feng put his fingers on the marks on the Tianji sword. Many broken souls appeared and penetrated into the sword. It felt like there were beating hearts in his bleeding fingertips. Then the Tianji sword started shaking and emitting buzzing sounds. Lin Feng's soul was inside the sword and fusing together with it. Lin Feng sat down cross-legged and let go of the Tianji sword. However, the sword remained in the air. It was an incredible feeling. His sword and him were becoming one. He was using the sword to sense the energies of the earth and sky too. It was very different, as if he existed in his sword. Lin Feng closed his eyes and became motionless. He continued drawing things as he released energies into the sword. It was as if connections were established between his millions of broken souls and his sword. "Die!" shouted Lin Feng furiously. His sword moved with incredible speed and crashed into the ground. A gigantic fissure appeared. That's the technique. You give birth to a sword with your soul and it can act on its own. In the past, I had to control the sword in an ordinary way, but now the sword can protect me automatically, thought Lin Feng. Lin Feng practiced for 3 days. Then he stayed inside for another 3 days. Those people sitting outside didn't know what was going on. On the 6th day, the strong cultivators from Jiang'e were still waiting there. They were waiting calmly. They didn't dare act rash, lest they interrupted the process. They were trying to sense the sword qi coming from inside the grave, but didn't because they didn't want to offend Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword. Boom, boom, boom. Subtle yet clear sounds could be heard. The eyes of the people from Jiang'e started twinkling. Finally, the door was opening itself. The elders' eyes were twinkling and their hearts started racing. Finally, had it worked or not? Had the sword turned into a human? Someone came out and that silhouette was surrounded by an incredible sword qi. That person was dazzling, like a sword. The ancestor's sword, shouted someone. Surprisingly, someone knelt down. Even though that chi wasn't powerful, it was their ancestors' chi. Tap! That young man looked like their ancestor's sword. His long hair looked as sharp as swords. Sensing their ancestors' chi was incredible for them, their hearts were pounding violently. Tap, tap, tap. Each of his steps made their hearts beat even faster. Kneel down, shouted someone furiously, and suddenly, very quickly, all the strong cultivators from Jiang'an knelt down in a respectful way. Jian Wubei was the only young man who didn't. But finally he knelt down too. That's not Lin Feng, that's the ancestor's sword. You're a bunch of morons. What a disgrace. From now on I am Lin Feng and Lin Feng is me. I'm not a sword anymore. Do you understand? Said Lin Feng in an extremely aggressive voice, releasing chi so that they could sense his energies even more and become fully convinced. They no longer had any doubts because they checked the grave with their godly awareness and realized the sword had really disappeared. So it was definitely in Lin Feng's body. We understand, said everybody in a very respectful way. That was their ancestor's sword. It had been trying to come back to life for 5,000 years now. Everybody come, said Lin Feng coldly as he streaked across the sky. Nobody objected. All those sword cultivators in the sky looked like shooting stars or shooting swords. Chapter 1138. Conversation in the Void. Jian Wubei glanced at the grave one last time. He glanced at the old man who was sweeping. Maybe to the old man, it didn't mean anything in particular. Jian Wubei also followed the others. He was surprised and sad at the same time. The only hope for the people of Jiang'an was a sword that was embarrassing to admit, to say the least. Even if it was the ancestor's sword, it was only one sword. Did the people of Jiang'an think that nobody could make Jiang'an rise up again? When everybody left, the old man continued sweeping slowly. After that, he entered the grave again and closed the door. Once inside the grave, he was alone again. He swept the ground a little bit more and then sat down. He looked at the empty air and said, "There's nobody left anymore, you can come out." "Why would I need to?" said a voice. The old man didn't look surprised. He knew that person. "Why did you help him? How do you know him?" asked the old man. "It's not important. As long as things work out, that's the main goal. Today, you gave him something incredible. Maybe that the sword will bring back an incredible cultivator the next time it comes back. It's a nice thing that you helped him. Besides, you must have noticed something to let him go with the sword. That was a gamble," said that voice. It was still difficult to know where it came from. "I don't gamble. Besides, the sword can't do much here. And that little boy gave me a good impression. Besides, good things could happen to Jiang'an too. It's probably better this way. I didn't want Jiang'an's people to offend someone like you," said the old man. He was still sitting and chatting normally. He didn't even know who he was chatting with. "I'm off." The chi disappeared and the grave became normal again. The old man knew that the person had already left. He slowly stood up again. He was crooked and looked sick. He took back his broom and continued sweeping the grave, cleaning all those old swords. Back in Sword City, where Lin Feng and Shui Baiyao had just fought a few days before, there were still many people, including terribly strong cultivators. The town was bathing in dazzling lights. However, it was because of the moon. The moon wasn't as dazzling as when Lin Feng and Baguio had battled, but it was a different kind of shine. It was dazzling. Some strong cultivators were trying to hide it, but they couldn't manage to hide those lights completely. Those were celestial lights, and it had been that way for a few days already. A holy, celestial girl was creating those lights. She was wearing white clothes and possessed a snowy white skin. The people from the celestial land of alchemists hadn't left yet because of her. She was called the Celestial Girl, but now she didn't look as celestial and as holy as before. Nature pills are high-quality holy pills, but they can't have that powerful of an effect either, whispered Shui Baiyao. The holy celestial lights still illuminated the city, but it had been a few days since she had taken the nature pill. The nature pill had activated a special strength she had lingering inside her body and helped her become even stronger, said an old man next to her. Shui Baiyao nodded. She had the same thought. That special strength is incredibly powerful, whispered Shui Baiyao. Beasts and humans are different. Humans progress step by step and they become stronger gradually relying on their own natural abilities. They need to understand cultivation. For animals, it's different. They become stronger automatically as they grow. For some animals, it's even scarier because they can inherit incredible powers at birth. Those are the kings of the jungle, so to say, said the elder from the celestial land of alchemists. He sounded slightly excited. Shui Linglong was a snow celestial being from the Snow Clan. She might be the queen of the Snow Clan. However, in Ba Huang province, there were no traces of the Snow Clan. Steal her, said a young man from the celestial land of alchemists greedily. Such a beautiful girl, even if she had been an ordinary animal, he would have been aroused. We're not the only ones who want to steal her, I think. Somewhere in the distance, many strong cultivators appeared who recognized Shui Linglong. Sword City and Fortune City weren't very far from each other, so there were many strong cultivators in the region. If the strong cultivators from Tiantai hadn't been protecting her, many people would have tried to kidnap her already. Her qi was gradually becoming paler. Time passed slowly. But then those people approached, hiding in the dark. Someone wants to attack, thought the crowd. It looks like they have been planning this for some time now. Tian-level cultivators couldn't do anything. The strong cultivators from Tiantai could destroy any Tian-level cultivators in the blink of an eye. Many silhouettes appeared in the sky, so many that people couldn't see the sky anymore. Boom! The atmosphere shook as a gigantic hand appeared. Finally, some people had started fighting. Seems like my help will be needed again, said the sadhu. He put his palms together and a gigantic golden Buddha appeared. He said in a solemn and respectful way, "The Buddha is at the source of creation." In a flash, abstruse energies invaded the area. Redeem lost souls by making offerings and saying prayers, release souls from suffering. Said the sadhu, releasing more golden abstruse energies. His lights turned into a gigantic blade. The golden lights immediately surrounded all the low-level Zun cultivators. Boom, boom, boom. People everywhere started battling again. At the same time, in the distance, dazzling sword lights appeared. This time they had their ancestors' sword with them, so they felt like the strongest cultivators of the region. Chapter 1139. Everybody must die, such pure and holy, celestial lights. I can't imagine who she is, said someone as if he had been warning everybody. Even more people were attacking. They didn't need anyone to tell them who the girl was. They could already guess. Of course, they attacked because that animal clan didn't exist in Ba Huang province, otherwise, they wouldn't have offended an imperial family. According to legends, such incredible monarch-like animal families had ancient secrets, and if they managed to acquire those ancient secrets, they'd become unimaginably strong. Capture her, said someone in the crowd. People were going insane. People who would disrespect their strong cultivators were quite numerous. What a bunch of morons. If anyone gets near, I'll destroy them, said Cheong Chi furiously. With her beauty and social status, it was no wonder that she drew so many people's attention. Slash, slash, slash. It seemed like swords were whistling in the air. The Tian-level cultivators who weren't participating and were just watching from the distance were in awe. Sword energies were dashing to the skies and rolling in waves. Many people who were fighting slowed down when they saw all those sword energies. Many strong cultivators raised their heads and gazed into the distance. They were astonished when they saw the leader of that group of swords cultivators. Lin Feng. Lin Feng was back and he was alive. On top of that, behind him were incredibly strong sword cultivators. Some of them were monstrously strong. Their energies could suffocate the entire crowd. Jianghe's people. The crowd was surprised. Those people had to be from Jianghe. Apart from Jianghe, there weren't any other groups of sword cultivators who were that strong. However, why were they following Lin Feng? Besides, were those mysterious people who had captured Lin Feng last time from Jianghe as well? At that moment, many people were confused. What had happened after Lin Feng's kidnapping? Lin Feng looked different from the last time they had seen him. This time he looked as sharp as a sword. They didn't look like a group of people, they looked like a group of swords. Lin Feng looked at all those people in the darkness. The one who had talked a moment before seemed scared. "Kill him," said Lin Feng coldly. Those strong cultivators all released sword energies as dazzling as thunders and started killing those people who had come for Meng Qing. Blood suddenly splashed everywhere. Most people didn't even have time to realize what was going on before they died. A strong Zun Qi layer was killed by sword energies in a flash. He couldn't even shriek. It was a cultivator of the 4th Zun Qi layer, proving how strong and fast the newcomers were. How come he is giving orders to those strong cultivators from Jiang'a? If they listened to Lin Feng, he would probably order them to destroy everyone. Tiantai's people were also surprised. Many of them started laughing though. What an incredible guy. He had managed to bring so many strong cultivators to help them. Meng Qing opened her eyes when she sensed something. Her eyes were even more dazzling than the stars. She laughed in a sweet and radiant way when she saw Lin Feng. He was safe, so she was happy. Shui Baiyao saw Lin Feng too. She had lost against him at the same level last time. Now he had brought back a bunch of incredibly strong cultivators. He was quickly climbing up the hierarchy in the cultivation world. Lin Feng glanced at the people in black clothes. His eyes revealed everything. If anyone touched Meng Qing, he'd kill them all. "Kill everyone, don't let a single one live," said Lin Feng coldly. The strong cultivators from Jiang'a were hesitant. Kill everyone? They were all extremely strong cultivators from Jiang'a and they were all quite old. They were completely able to kill everyone. But what would happen if they did that? All those people had a social background. Wouldn't their groups, sects, clans and so on be furious? Wouldn't it trigger a great war against Jiang'a? At that moment, an old man from Jiang'a wanted to say something, but didn't know how to call Lin Feng. It was his ancestors' godly weapon which had turned into a human being. He was their only hope. "Young master," said the old man. He finally found the words. Lin Feng slowly turned around and looked at the old man. Sword lights were twinkling in his eyes. "Kill!" The old man's mouth twitched. The sword had taken control of Lin Feng. It was unruly, aggressive, brutal. They had no other option than to obey. Sharp lights appeared in his eyes as he said, "Obey, our master has given us an order. Kill everyone." Boom! Sword energies flooded the region. The crowd couldn't handle those dazzling sword lights. Slash, slash. Blood splashed everywhere and a few Zun cultivators instantly died. Many people started shaking, their hearts started racing. Jiang'a's strong cultivators were calling Lin Feng, "Young master," and obeying his orders. Now he wanted everyone to die. 8th Zun Qi layer, and 3 cultivators of the 7th Zun Qi layer. Everybody could sense those strong cultivators' power. Those were the real heroes of Jiang'a, the strongest cultivators Jiang'a had. Under that moonlight, blood continued to spill. Some of the strong cultivators started running away. They hadn't thought that Lin Feng would come back with such strong cultivators and kill all of them mercilessly. How and why? Why were Jiang'a's strong cultivators calling Lin Feng, "Young master"? "Don't let any of them off, everyone has to die," said Lin Feng coldly. People started panicking, they were scared to death. It seems like the sword was influenced by the body it took control of, thought the strong cultivators from Jiang'a. That was the only explanation. Now that the sword had taken control of Lin Feng, it was also influenced by Lin Feng's personality. When the strong cultivators thought about that, they felt even more hot-blooded. They felt like heroes. They wouldn't let anyone off now. Nobody wanted to fight them anymore. Who would dare challenge Lin Feng after that battle? Lin Feng was standing in the air, looking at the enemies in a cold way. Those people wanted to kill him and they wanted to kidnap Meng Qing, but they were going to die, all of them. He also needed to control the strong cultivators from Jiang'a with power and authority. He was Lin Feng, the godly weapon who possessed a human body. Chapter 1140. Astonishing battle. Blood splashed everywhere and rivers of blood were flowing. Meng Qing's qi was becoming even paler as the effects of the pill were soon going to disappear. A few days ago, they all wanted to hunt down Lin Feng and steal his treasures. Now, those same people had turned into Lin Feng's prey. There were countless corpses of Zun-level cultivators laying on the ground. But why do the strong cultivators of Jianghe call Lin Feng young master, though? Thought so many people. They didn't understand. They couldn't know that those strong cultivators thought that Lin Feng was their emperor's sword. They could only guess that the ones who had kidnapped Lin Feng last time were people from Jianghe, but after that, what had happened exactly? At that moment, Lin Feng turned around and looked at the crowd in the distance. His eyes looked like sharp swords. That crowd suddenly looked scared. Many of them hoped to avoid Lin Feng's gaze. Luckily, they hadn't participated to the battle, otherwise, Lin Feng would have killed them. So many people that Lin Feng didn't like were already dead. Shui Baiyao had come with many strong cultivators, however, she was now all alone there. Some of the young men who liked her and the elders who were with her had died, while some of them had escaped. Go back now. If anything happens, I can call you. There's no need to follow me all the time, said Lin Feng to the strong cultivators. That was an order. What could they say? He knew that those people couldn't confront him, otherwise it would be like confronting Jianghe. Lin Feng wasn't Lin Feng, he was a godly weapon, their emperor's godly weapon. Of course, Lin Feng couldn't keep those people with him for too long and he didn't feel like it anyways. He needed to keep some distance from them. If he managed to keep that distance, he'd be able to use them for various purposes in the future. Many people would remember him forever after that battle. They wouldn't have thought that Lin Feng would command all those strong cultivators to kill everybody only because they sought to steal Meng Qing. Roger, young master, said the strong cultivators from Jianghe. The godly sword now had a human body, so it had to live its own life. It was Emperor Wu Tianjian's godly weapon, so they didn't need to be worried for it. It would become sharper and stronger again, just like the old days. They would become a prestigious group in Ba Huang and everybody would fear them. The cultivator of the 8th Zun Qi layer looked at the crowd and said, if some Zun cultivators plan to bully weak people again or to disrespect our young master, we'll kill everyone involved. After that, their sword qi dashed to the skies. Some people who hadn't fought were astonished. Jianghe used to be a famous and powerful group in Ba Huang, so they had no enemies. Nobody knew exactly how strong their cultivators were, but from now on, nobody would think about attacking Lin Feng again. Young master, we're off. Break that talisman if you're ever in trouble, said the old man, giving a talisman to Lin Feng. Lin Feng nodded and took it. The strong cultivators then left. Lin Feng watched as those strong cultivators leaving and then said to the crowd, if someone dares attack me again before the event in Fortune City, you'll bear the responsibility for your clan's demise. In the distance, the crowd understood that they had to leave. Shui Baiyao looked at Lin Feng and she looked indifferent, so it was difficult to know what she was thinking. She turned around and left too. Thank you, said a voice to her using telepathy. She didn't turn around so Lin Feng could only see her back, but in any case, she nodded and left. Shui Baiyao thought Lin Feng was incredible. Even though she wanted to kill him before, after losing against him, she felt even more motivated than before. Also, Lin Feng had risked his own life to save Meng Qing with her pill. She thought that was touching. Lin Feng turned around and walked to the sadhu and the others. He smiled and said, brothers and sisters, we'll never forget that one, I bet. You're a member of Tiantai and another group of influence protected you, you even obtained a high rank there. Nobody will attack you anytime soon, I think. In Fortune City, you'll have great opportunities, so cherish them, said the sadhu. I will, said Lin Feng determined. I really wonder why Jianghe's people now call you young master. You're our first imperial cultivation disciple too. You're absolutely extraordinary. I can't wait to see you become stronger. We're going back to Tiantai now, said the sadhu, smiling at Lin Feng. He looked at his other fellow disciples and thanked them. Everybody rose up in the air and left. Qiong Qi looked at Lin Feng and continued running around Lin Feng. Little bastard, tell this emperor what happened these past few days. Let's walk and talk. You still dare call yourself emperor, even when people kidnapped me right in front of you, said Lin Feng. I wasn't prepared enough, said Qiong Qi furiously. Lin Feng rolled his eyes and ignored him, infuriating Qiong Qi. Qiong Qi, let's find a palace where nobody else is and practice cultivation. We'll go to Fortune City together. Help me protect that guy as well, said Lin Feng, tapping on Huang Fulong's shoulder. He walked towards Meng Qing, took her hand and left with her. Huang Fulong said, now that his wife is here, he ignores his buddies and leaves me alone with this. Roar! Qiong Qi spat out flames at Huang Fulong. Lin Feng had said annoying things before, so Huang Fulong did the same. I'm an emperor, a great emperor, not this. You should be honored to spend any time you can with me, said Qiong Qi. Oh no, not again, said Huang Fulong, scratching his head. On the way there, Qiong Qi kept bragging about how he used to be an emperor and used to have sex with countless celestial girls in luxuriant palaces. Roar! Qiong Qi roared again. Huang Fulong thought that Qiong Qi was a show-off, but he also recognized how strong he really was. Lin Feng took Meng Qing to a palace and closed it. He turned around and looked at her. For some reason she looked angry. Meng Qing, what's wrong? Said Lin Feng, smiling. He scratched his head, wondering what was wrong. You're finally looking at me, said Meng Qing in a sweet and gentle voice. She was teasing him, just for fun. Ow, said Lin Feng. He didn't say much, he just stared back at her. When Meng Qing saw how Lin Feng continued to stare at her, she lowered her head and said, What are you doing? Lin Feng stretched out his hand and put it on her face, caressing her cheeks and her hair. He then whispered, I didn't dare look at you before because when I look at you, I can't take my eyes off of you. I could spend the rest of my life just looking at you. Meng Qing rolled her eyes. She was embarrassed. Lin Feng put his hands around her waist. Meng Qing shivered and raised her head. They both smiled. Not only could I look at you for the rest of my life, but I would be satisfied to kiss you for that long as well, said Lin Feng, smiling. Then he put his hand around her neck and dragged her face to his, kissing her passionately. Meng Qing couldn't breathe anymore. Lin Feng's kiss was too passionate. Chapter 1141. Washing his sword. The date of the event in Fortune City wasn't decided yet. Everything was in the diviner's hands. Many heroic cultivators had gathered in the 4 big cities around Fortune City, and they couldn't wait for the event to start. It was said that each time the event in Fortune City took place, it revolutionized the history of the region. The diviner was one of the most mysterious living beings in the world. He would only appear each time that event in Fortune City took place. Nobody knew who he really was, to the extent that many people didn't even know how strong he really was. Many people assumed that he was an emperor, but nobody knew exactly what he was. In any case, he was able to attract so many strong cultivators to gather there, that was enough to prove that he was incredible. It was said that there was a strange vitality in Fortune City where having imperial blood or a rich family was useless. It was said that people were cut off from the rest of the world once they entered the city. And when people died in Fortune City, the outside world wouldn't know how they died. Back in Sword City, everything had become calm again. Nobody continued chasing Lin Feng because Jiang's people were protecting him now. In a palace outside of Sword City, there was a girl and boy sitting on window. The girl was incredibly beautiful and possessed a celestial qi. She had her head resting on the young man's shoulder, and she was smiling. They didn't talk, they were just sitting there. I wish time could freeze right now, said Meng Qing, gazing into the distance. Lin Feng and her, only the two of them sitting there in silence, staring up at the moon. There are so many beautiful things in life and there's still so many places I want to take you. I hope we can be together and enjoy life for thousands or even dozens of thousands of years from now, said Lin Feng. In his previous life, Lin Feng hoped he'd live to be 100 years old. In this new world, thanks to cultivation, people could live well beyond that. He hoped to become strong enough to protect the people he loved with that time. I'll always stay with you then, said Meng Qing, smiling in a resplendent and sweet way. We spent some time together already, shouldn't you go and practice cultivation already? Said Meng Qing, lowering her head. She wanted to let Lin Feng practice, but at the same time she wrapped her arms around him as if she didn't want him to go. "Even if you're here, I can practice cultivation," said Lin Feng, smiling. He released sword energies which dashed to the skies. He raised his head and sharp lights appeared in his eyes. He looked at the sky as if he was trying to defy the heaven. His sword energies shook in the air and emitted metallic sounds. The energies gradually pointed to the moon. "Borrowing the vitality of the earth and sky, I'll render the lights of the moon and sky to ashes and use their remains to clean my sword," said Lin Feng. Then, the vital qi of the earth and sky condensed around his sword energies, and then ashes appeared and cleaned the sword, which became dazzling. Lin Feng wanted to raise his sword, and in the memories from the old man, Lin Feng knew that cleaning his sword was a part of the process. Lin Feng didn't understand why the old man had helped him, but he didn't think too much about it. He knew that the old man didn't mean him any harm, that's all that mattered. That old man could have easily killed someone like Lin Feng, so there was no need to trick him. "You're cleaning your sword?" Meng Qing looked surprised and laughed. She still had her head resting on Lin Feng's shoulder. Some people noticed something in the sky and raised their heads. They saw a sharp and powerful sword very high in the air, and it was being cleaned by the energies of the earth and sky. Many people lowered their heads again and didn't think about the sword too much. Such an incredible sword probably belonged to someone stronger than them, so it was pointless to linger on it. However, some people were still too greedy and couldn't help it. Someone even rose up in the air next to the sword. It was a young man who wanted to go to Fortune City, but he didn't have a powerful weapon to do so. Now, a holy weapon appeared in the sky, so of course, this was his chance. The young man looked hesitant, but then he released some energies towards the sword, causing it to start shaking. "Piss off," shouted a voice. The young man and everything around started to shake. He looked at the sword, his eyes were twinkling. "Who are you?" asked the young man coldly. "I told you to piss off." The sword turned around and pointed at the young man. The young man felt rather cold now. He turned around and left, scared to death. Someone could make a sword talk and release its own energies. He wanted nothing more to do with that. After the young man left, the sword continued rising up in the air towards the moon. Many people had watched the young man a moment before, so nobody thought about trying to steal the sword anymore. That sword probably belonged to an extremely powerful cultivator. There were even more geniuses in Fortune City now. Many people were just silently practicing cultivation, attempting to get stronger before the festivities started in Fortune City. Those next few days, both every evening and every night, people would see a holy weapon flying in the sky. Some people tried to take it each night, but each time they heard the sword talk, they were scared to death and backed off. That sword belonged to an incredible sword cultivator, so they didn't dare take it. That cultivator could probably kill them without any effort, and they still had to be careful before the beginning of the event. Lin Feng practiced that technique for half a month. Then, on that final night, a full moon appeared, and in the direction of Fortune City a mist appeared as a gigantic city slowly emerged from the mist. Chapter 1142. Mysterious Fortune City. Fortune City. Fortune City has appeared. Everyone in the 4 towns surrounding Fortune City raised their heads and looked at Fortune City. It looked like a Gothic painting, like an illusion. It appeared to be ancient, majestic, domineering, lofty, intense. Fortune City is an illusion according to the legends, but many people have gotten lucky there, thought some of the crowd. The event in Fortune City wasn't something planned. They couldn't just show up on a certain date. Everyone had to wait for the city appear on its own. Usually, when people looked in the direction of Fortune City, they saw nothing. No buildings and definitely no city. The mist disappeared only when the diviner started an event. What's going on? Why are there so many castles rising up in the air? Thought some people. The castles were gradually emerging from the ground and rising high into the sky. Some people started wondering if the city wasn't an illusion, just that it was underground most of the time. "I can see some beasts too," said someone else, surprised. "Some people are going in." A crowd of people began entering Fortune City and disappear inside. "How fast?" Some people couldn't wait any longer, it seems. The diviner can predict people's future and can even influence their futures. My life will certainly become better after I visit Fortune City. I'll reach the clouds," said someone loudly. He sounded extremely proud as he entered Fortune City. Fortune City. At that moment, Lin Feng also saw Fortune City. Meng Qing didn't say anything. She remained calm while sitting next to him. "Let's go," said Lin Feng, grabbing Meng Qing's hand. In another palace nearby, a young man and an animal also saw Fortune City rising. "Huang Fu Long, Emperor!" shouted Lin Feng, landing on their palace. "Little boy, you only just remembered us now," said Qiongqi angrily. Lin Feng hadn't spent much time with them those days. He just gave them the 2 Zun cultivators' souls and explained that they needed to find 2 bodies for them, but Qiongqi didn't know where to find bodies for them. "What did you do to Huang Fu Long?" Lin Feng exclaimed. Huang Fu Long's face was gray and it looked burnt. "I saw that he needed to become stronger, so I taught him some things. He's lucky to have me as a teacher," said Qiongqi, putting his paw on his chest and sounding proud. Huang Fu Long just looked exasperated and shrugged. He was smiling but didn't look that happy. "Lin Feng, if you leave me alone with him again, we won't be friends for very long," said Huang Fu Long, scratching his head and grinding his teeth. Lin Feng looked at Huang Fu Long with compassion. "You're lucky to have me as a teacher, but surprisingly, you dare criticize me," said Qiongqi, looking back at Huang Fu Long in a ferocious way. Huang Fu Long quickly lowered his head. Lin Feng didn't look happy either. "Emperor, did Fortune City exist when you were still alive?" asked Lin Feng, pointing at Fortune City. Qiongqi was 1,000 years old and he used to be a great emperor, so he might know some things. "Did. It's been there since the creation of the continent of the 9 clouds," said Qiongqi, staring at the illusion. "Is there anything particular I should know going in? And do you know anything about the diviner?" asked Lin Feng. He knew that the diviner could predict people's future and influence it. Qiongqi's eyes twinkled and he looked nervous. He almost frowned. He stared at the illusion and shook his head. "Nothing. Nothing? How was that possible?" Qiongqi was bragging all the time that he used to be a great emperor. He definitely had to know something. "I can tell you because it's more complicated than you can handle," said Yan Di back at Lin Feng. Lin Feng remained silent and then said, "I heard some people had asked emperors about Fortune City, but they wouldn't say anything about it. All they would admit was that each time the young geniuses from all around went there, the course of history changed drastically." Ba Huang Province. When Qiongqi heard Lin Feng, he started laughing. Lin Feng was confused by this erratic behavior. Qiongqi noticed his confusion, so he said, "Your views are too simplistic. Do you really think that only the Ba Huang Province is attending?" Lin Feng looked surprised. It wasn't just the Ba Huang Province? Did people from other places, provinces, regions, etc. come to Fortune City as well? "What do you mean?" asked Lin Feng. "You'll see when you go inside. Even though I have the status of a great emperor, I'll only have the strength of the Tianqi layer once we step inside. Let's go to Fortune City," said Qiongqi. Lin Feng was surprised. "Are emperors not allowed in Fortune City?" "I never said that," said Qiongqi, sighing. "There are just some customs. Usually people stick these conventions, but a few people will go against them, even great emperors." Lin Feng said, "What you mean to say is that there are definite rules in the continent of the 9 cloud? If great emperors aren't supposed to enter Fortune City, is it because a great emperor organizes the event?" "I told you I don't know. If you want to understand, you'll have to go there," said Qiongqi indifferently. Lin Feng looked at Fortune City. His eyes were twinkling. "Lin Feng." At that moment, Huang Fu Long scratched his head. He looked confused as he said, "Lin Feng, what do you mean? Is he a great emperor?" Huang Fu Long was pointing to Qiongqi. It was as if he had seen a ghost. From Lin Feng and Qiongqi's conversation, it sounded like Qiongqi had been a great emperor. "Bullshit, of course I am," said Qiongqi proudly. "He almost got killed by someone, but he managed to come back to life. Don't mention it to anyone," said Lin Feng to Huang Fu Long using telepathy. Huang Fu Long was astonished. Qiongqi really was a great emperor. After a while, Huang Fulong didn't look that angry anymore. He looked back at Qiongqi and even smiled. Emperor, didn't you say you wanted to give me some skills? What about now? Piss off, said Qiongqi in a disdainful way. Huang Fulong was now extremely disappointed. Chapter 1143, Fortune City's Shrine. Yan Di, be my teacher, said Huang Fulong laughing. I gave you your opportunity, but now it's too late, said Yan Di. Then he saw just how disappointed Huang Fulong was, so he said, but we'll see if you're lucky in Fortune City. What you obtain there is even more precious than anything I could give you. Of course, you first have to become stronger. Lin Feng heard their conversation and sounded surprised. What Fortune City would give them was even better than anything Qiongqi had to offer. Fortune City is not only about the diviner's predictions. Your life will be in your own hands. Inside Fortune City, you'll still have to rely on your own strength to define your own path, said Yan Di in a solemn and respectful way. Lin Feng was surprised to see that even Qiongqi respected that place so much. Let's go. Once you're inside Fortune City, you'll hear and see things, then you'll understand. That's why I don't need to tell you anything right now. I can only warn you to be careful and to be tough. You'll have to remain determined to move on. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. This time, even I will benefit from that opportunity, explained Qiongqi. Meng Qing. Lin Feng dragged her hand and nodded at her. Then he looked at Huang Fulong. There's a teleportation portal at the entrance of Fortune City. As soon as you set foot in there, you'll all be teleported to different places, but if you're strong enough, you'll find each other again, said Qiongqi. Lin Feng seemed annoyed. What is the fastest way to find each other? Go in and you'll see, said Qiongqi. He slowly rose up in the air and looked again at the ancient illusion. He then threw himself at the illusion and quickly, he disappeared from their vision. What a guy, thought Lin Feng. In any case, if Qiongqi told them that they would be able to find each other again, there should be no worries. Huang Fulong, even though he's not easy to get along with, he knows a lot. Don't miss any opportunities when you're around him, said Lin Feng. Huang Fulong nodded. I know, I won't distract you any longer, said Huang Fulong, scratching his head. Then he turned around and entered Fortune City. Lin Feng and Meng Qing glanced at each other and walked towards the illusion together. Meng Qing, once we're in Fortune City, the first thing I'll do is look for you, said Lin Feng, standing just outside the illusion. But Meng Qing shook her head and said, Nah, do your own things. I'll come and find you instead. Lin Feng looked at her in a gentle way, nodded and said, All right, I'll wait for you. Then, they entered Fortune City and energies instantly surrounded them. Lin Feng felt like he was going to faint from being so dizzy. He reached out his hand to grab Meng Qing's, but they were already separated. As he was entering Fortune City, some memories appeared in his brain. Fate seeds can be exchanged against anything, whispered Lin Feng. At that moment, inside his third eye, red things appeared. They each contained memories and there were 5 red seeds in total. He had broken through to the 5th Tianqi layer, so when he entered Fortune City, he had received 5 of these fate seeds. What is this place? Who is the master here? How strong is the diviner? Whispered Lin Feng. In his brain, some more things appeared and they were all related to fate. Once inside Fortune City, he was going to understand his destiny and become stronger. At the shrine of Fortune City, if he was lucky enough, he would obtain everything he wanted. Lin Feng glanced around the ancient town he had appeared in. He didn't feel like he was in an illusion, it really did look like an ancient town. Fortune City seems to be incredibly vast. Lin Feng thought about what Qiongqi had told him. Apart from the people from Ba Huang province, were there geniuses from other places? This place is similar to where the first part of the great competition of Shuiyu took place. It's just that Shengong was far from being that developed and skilled. Perhaps they had imitated Fortune City? Whispered Lin Feng. However, the great competition of Shuiyu was only a small event. It couldn't be compared to this event in Fortune City. Even great emperors didn't understand Fortune City's event properly. Maybe people from everywhere in the continent of the 9 clouds were there. Lin Feng could see a lofty building, taller than all the other buildings. Fortune City's shrine can give me anything I want, and Qiongqi told me that I had to remain determined and tough in here. That meant that Lin Feng had to be willing to take risks. He couldn't go through this half-heartedly. Some sounds were heard and Lin Feng looked surprised. Lin Feng immediately disappeared as a shadow appeared. The shadow immediately hid under the shade of a building. Someone arrived where Lin Feng was before and glanced around. Then that person frowned. I sensed some qi, said that person to themselves. That person opened their third eye. There were 6 dots, which meant that that person had broken through to the 6th Tianqi layer. It also meant that they hadn't started hunting other people's destinies yet. He turned around and looked at Lin Feng's direction. He rose up in the air, very slowly and vigilantly. They were in Fortune City, so nobody would know if they died in there. He took a few steps forward and released some qi. Then he abruptly rose up in the sky and disappeared. Lin Feng was surprised. He hadn't tried to hide when he first got there, nor was he as vigilant as that guy. Bzz. Lin Feng ran quickly while creating a whirlwind behind him. He quickly arrived at the entrance of Fortune City's shrine. The shrine was open to everyone, but they had to pay with fate seeds to enter. Lin Feng didn't hesitate and entered the shrine. Immediately after, one of his fate seeds disappeared from his forehead. Once inside, apart from an old man, there was nobody else there. Master, I have a question, said Lin Feng, bowing in front of the old man. 20 fate gems, replied the old man indifferently and expressionlessly. Each seed was worth 10 fate gems, so Lin Feng had just spent 10 fate gems to enter the shrine. Now, just to ask a question, he had to pay 20. What is the best thing we can trade in the shrine? You can get anything you want in this shrine if you have enough fate seeds. People of different levels can get different things. Some people need skills and techniques, while others need an ice blade. There isn't anything which can be described as the best thing. Lin Feng remained silent and asked, Can I exchange seeds for more time? That's your second question, said the old man. Lin Feng only had 20 gems left. Alright, my second question is, I need 100 days of time, and I need those 100 days to act as if time hadn't passed in the outside world. How much would I need to pay for that? 10,000 gems, replied the old man calmly. 10,000 gems, that was 100 a day, but it also proved that he could buy himself time inside the shrine. Chapter 1144. Seed Hunting, How Expensive? I must remain tough and determined. Lin Feng left the shrine and thought about Qiongqi's words. If he had enough seeds, he might even be able to buy cultivation levels. But buying cultivation levels, if possible, was probably extremely expensive. I wonder where Meng Qing is, thought Lin Feng. Meng Qing had said she'd find him, so he didn't need to look for her. He couldn't ask anyways because he had no more gems. Lin Feng, don't wait for me, practice cultivation. I'll help you find seeds, said a voice at that moment. Lin Feng turned around. That was Meng Qing's voice. He smiled wryly. He was speechless. He then whispered, Why? I don't believe you. Lin Feng didn't believe that Meng Qing didn't want to stay with him all the time, so why would she go and find fate seeds without him? You should take care of yourself first, said Lin Feng. Meng Qing was strong, so as long as she didn't encounter monster-like cultivators, she had nothing to fear. After leaving the shrine, Lin Feng's third eye looked pale, having lost all of his seeds. What Lin Feng didn't know was that somewhere else, there was a guy who had spent all his fate seeds even faster than him. That guy had exchanged all his fate seeds to teleport once to the most crowded place. He hid for a while there, and then he came out and trampled the ground loudly. He drew many people's attention, particularly because he was a beast. He was very famous after all. It was the wild beast, Qiongqi. People dreamt of capturing him and taming him. Therefore, many strong cultivators attacked. Once everybody started chasing him, he ran to another place and hid. Then, everybody started fighting to steal each other's seeds. After that, a beam of light illuminated the area and enveloped everybody inside. In a flash, All their seeds appeared in Qiongqi's third eye. After getting so many fate seeds, Qiongqi went back to the shrine, getting ready to spend them and teleport somewhere else. If Lin Feng knew that Qiongqi had obtained so many fate seeds that way, he would teleport to Qiongqi and ask him for some fate seeds as well. Busy. At that moment, Lin Feng sensed some teleportation energies. Then he saw a shadow appear on the ground. Hunter of Darkness, thought Lin Feng. He shouted furiously, "Die!" Sword lights came out from his mouth, seemingly capable of destroying anything. Lin Feng's level 8 sword intent was terrifying. Blood appeared as Lin Feng saw the shadow trying to run away. "Stay here," said Lin Feng coldly. He was already extremely fast. His wind intent was level 6, coupled with his Xiao Yao agility technique. He took out his Tianji sword and attacked his opponent again. Blood splashed as his opponent's fate seeds appeared in his third eye. How fast! The cultivator with the shadow spirit appeared and fell down, dead. He had broken through to the 6th Tianqi layer and had 60 fate gems already. But now they belonged to Lin Feng. "I'll kill any hunter of the darkness I encounter," said Lin Feng coldly. He didn't have to kill people in Fortune City to obtain seeds. He just had to defeat them. However, Lin Feng would kill anyone who tried to kill him. There were some people Lin Feng would kill automatically if he encountered them, for example, the Hunters of Darkness, the assassins from the Imperial Assassin Union, people from the Celestial Land of Alchemists, and people from Tianlong Divine Castle. The area was vast and flat around the shrine, so it wasn't great for hiding. However, it was a good place to obtain fate seeds. People who had a lot of fate seeds would go to the shrine to spend them. The Hunter of the Darkness had that same idea. That's why he wanted to wait there. What is the best method to obtain as many fate seeds as possible in the shortest time as possible? Thought Lin Feng. There were many people in Fortune City right now. Even in Sword City, there were so many cultivators of the Tianqi layer. Lin Feng needed to obtain fate seeds quickly if he didn't want to miss out on any opportunities. Unfortunately, practicing cultivation was difficult. If he had a high cultivation level, he could have run around and taken all the fate seeds he wanted. But with his current strength, that was too difficult. There were many people who were stronger than him, so he had to fight people one by one to take their fate seeds. 10,000 fate seeds was a terrifying number. He would need to fight a lot of people. Lin Feng ran to a building and jumped to its top. Lin Feng unsheathed his Tianji sword and allowed it to rise up in the air. He used his sword to look around. He could see very far away with that skill. "So many people," whispered Lin Feng. Lin Feng released his silver wings and his shadow spirits at the same time. Then he abruptly rose up in the air and started moving. Bzzz bzzz. 2 people rose up in the air to grab his Tianji sword. Surprisingly, someone left a holy weapon there. "I'll take it," said one of them coldly. He put his hand on the sword and released his godly awareness. He wanted to put his godly awareness inside the sword and take control of it. But very quickly he frowned. That holy weapon wasn't normal. There were no openings that he could find to allow his godly awareness to enter the sword. "It seems like I can't control it," said the first one. The next guy did the same thing as the one before him and grabbed the holy weapon. The Tianji sword was now shaking. It seemed like it was going to submit to him. But once those 2 started smiling, a terrifying voice appeared. "Soul Sword Fusion." Slash, slash. 2 dazzling lights appeared and entered those 2's third eyes. They both gave a horrible shriek at the same time. Their godly awareness had been attacked and their souls were greatly damaged. "Fate seeds, come to me," said a cold voice. They both sensed a gigantic hand moving towards their third eyes this time, and it contained a terrifying sealing strength. Lin Feng knew the Million Sword Fusion, then the Human Sword Fusion, and now the Soul Sword Fusion. He could already be considered an accomplished sword cultivator. They both looked at Lin Feng furiously. Their souls were hurt badly. A cultivator of the 5th Tianqi layer had surprisingly fooled them. They had each broken through to the 7th Tianqi layer, and one of them already had 110 gems, the other one had 70 gems, and Lin Feng had taken them all. Lin Feng's fate seeds condensed and turned orange. He now had 240 gems, but in his third eye, he saw 2 orange dots and 4 red dots. Lin Feng sensed that his vitality was becoming even stronger. Did those seeds have special powers? "I'm off," said Lin Feng, waving at those 2 people. Then he left. His Tianji sword was still floating in the sky. Lin Feng continued to use it as a bait. Strong people would want to get it, but what they didn't know was that the sword could attack on its own. They just had to grab the sword and then they would have to submit to its attack. Only people who possessed an incredibly godly awareness or special abilities could withstand that surprised attack. After an hour, Lin Feng had already obtained 500 gems. During that time, some people had chased him, and he escaped or he would fight them and win. Half a day after, Lin Feng already had 1,500 gems. Now they had turned yellow and they contained an incredible strength. Lin Feng's qi had become even more powerful with them. He was now convinced that those seeds could help people become stronger. Fortune City was extremely vast. In Lin Feng's eyes, the city was getting even more mysterious. But all he knew now was that if he got lucky, he would be able to achieve anything. "I'm too slow. I need to find seeds faster," thought Lin Feng. After half a day, he had already obtained 1,500 gems, but it wasn't enough. If other people had heard him, they would have been furious. But even then, there were some extremely strong people who had managed to steal even more seeds than Lin Feng. Amongst them, there was an animal whose fate seeds were green. That meant he had already obtained 10,000 fate seeds or more. Chapter 1145. Terrifying number. After 3 days, Lin Feng's fate seeds had turned green. His third eye was diffusing dazzling green lights from them. He could sense the vitality from the seeds and had noticed that his blood was becoming stronger too. "I wonder if I can take these incredible seeds out of Fortune City," thought Lin Feng. If he could take them with him, then he would use them to continually empower his strength. Something annoyed Lin Feng though. Because the seeds were too powerful, his qi was becoming too thick. He couldn't use his shadow spirit anymore. Even while hiding, people could still clearly and distinctly sense his presence. 10,000 fate seeds, I must have that many now, thought Lin Feng. He decided that this would be a good to go to the shrine, so he entered it. It was the same as before, the old man was still there. Lin Feng still didn't understand what they had to do there though. It was a riddle to him. "What do you need?" asked the old man, glancing at Lin Feng's third eye. He didn't look surprised. "I need to fix this weapon," said Lin Feng, handing over his bow. Fixing a holy weapon was a lot easier than making one, so 10,000 gems had to be enough. "It's not that damaged, there's only one crack mark, but because it's a high-level holy weapon, it'll be 10,000 gems, said the old man indifferently. Lin Feng then handed them over without saying anything. The old man put his hands on the bow and in a flash, dazzling lights appeared on it. He didn't release any qi, but in a flash, the bow started emitting buzzing sounds. "Take it," said the old man. At the same time, almost all of Lin Feng's gems disappeared. Now he only had 40 left. The incredible strength Lin Feng had sensed before disappeared with them. "Master, since I can exchange seeds for weapons, can I also exchange weapons for seeds?" asked Lin Feng. "You can," replied the old man. 20 gems disappeared from Lin Feng's third eye again. "Can I redeem my holy weapons at the same price?" asked Lin Feng. "You can." The old man wasn't very talkative. Now Lin Feng had no gems left, but Lin Feng smiled indifferently. The shrine was such a nice place. "Master, I want to exchange that weapon," said Lin Feng, taking out the bow again. He didn't even ask what the price was. The old man took the bow and dazzling blue fate seeds appeared in Lin Feng's third eye. The bow was worth 1,000,000 gems, which meant that to get the bow back, people had to defeat hundreds of thousands of cultivators. No wonder Lin Feng had to pay 10,000 gems to fix just that one crack. Lin Feng smiled and took out a bunch of broken holy weapons, more than a dozen. "Master, I want them all fixed," said Lin Feng, smiling in a resplendent way. Initially, he had thought he'd need a strong weapon manufacturer to fix his weapons, but it would have been extremely expensive. Everything was possible in Fortune City, though. 10,000 gems to fix the bow. That was a real bargain. He had even obtained 1,000,000 gems in exchange for the bow, which he could take back later. "You're very smart," said the old man, smiling indifferently. He then started fixing all the weapons. There were 27 weapons in total. Lin Feng had spent 80,000 gems to fix them all. He kept 10 weapons with him, 2 defensive weapons, a 7-colored Taoist robe made of feathers, and an armor. The 7-colored Taoist robe made of feathers was, apart from the bow, the only high-quality holy weapon he had, and he was keeping it to give to Meng Qing. The armor was a low-level holy weapon that he was keeping for himself. He also kept the halberd, which he had already used before. It was a medium-level holy weapon and was extremely powerful. He also kept some others with him just in case. Then he gave up the other 17 weapons to the shrine without hesitation. Lin Feng now had 1,300,000 gems because most weapons he traded were low-level. He also had a few medium-level holy weapons, but they weren't nearly as expensive as the high-level weapons. High-level weapons were 100 times more expensive than the low-level ones. "I want the bow back," said Lin Feng to the old man. He took his bow back and now he only had 300,000 gems left. That was enough, though. Apart from the bow, he had 10 other weapons, including a holy weapon. He could sense an incredible vitality inside his body again. Even if people attacked him, they wouldn't be able to kill him now. There was probably nobody else who had that many gems. Lin Feng wouldn't have thought that the broken weapons he found in the small world would be so useful in Fortune City. "Anything else?" said the old man when he saw that Lin Feng wasn't leaving. "I want 100 days and a very peaceful, calm atmosphere. I need a place filled with a very powerful vitality from the earth and sky," requested Lin Feng. "Transmit your thoughts into my head," said the old man. Lin Feng nodded and imagined the place of his dreams, then he turned it into a memory and transmitted it to the old man's brain through his third eye. 100 days for 10,000 gems, a calm place with an incredible vitality from the earth and the sky, 40,000 gems. That's a total of 50,000 gems. "Deal," said Lin Feng, nodding. The old man started performing hand seals. In a flash, Lin Feng's body disappeared and he appeared at the top of a mountain. It was an incredible place with dazzling stars. There was a gigantic and dazzling moon above him. That was the place of his dreams. "The old man from the shrine is incredible," thought Lin Feng. At that moment, he had 250,000 gems left since he had just spent 50,000 of them. So, his vitality was still incredible. His fate seeds made him feel even more alive. He took out his Tianji sword and his bow. He allowed his Tianji sword to rise up in the air and kept the bow in his hands. He continued cleaning his sword with the vitality from the earth and sky. At that moment, his sword's soul was still similar to an embryo. Dazzling lights shined down on his Tianji sword. 50,000 gems, that's a lot. If I didn't have so many weapons, I would have needed a long time to get them all. But now I will be able to stay in here for 100 more days than everyone else. That was definitely worth it, whispered Lin Feng. In 100 days, he would be able to get some more fate seeds again. With his soul, he could make his Tianji sword come to life and then raise it. Lin Feng had also started using his bow. It was a high-quality holy weapon which he could kill many people at once with. If he managed to use it properly, he would become a slaughtering machine. It was a bit like his demonic sword in that he could use it to defeat Zun cultivators. Though the bow didn't have the demonic sword's evil temper, so there wasn't much of a difference between them. But you're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.